Howdy, and welcome back to PowerWash Simulator, where today we're going to be cleaning the subway platform. Commissioner Barry Onyx says, owing to the steady reputational rise of Muckingham, Caldera City Transportation Network is excited to announce the reopening of its subway links to the vibrant town. We'd like you to deep clean the platform area ahead of the grand unveiling. Please note that whilst much of the graffiti in the facility could be said to possess artistic merit, we would like for you to remove it all. Very well, Commissioner. We are happy to help. And man, this is looking like a pretty big level. There is an achievement for this one called Blast from the Past, and it says to complete the advertising boards first, which should not be a problem in any case. I have also read that a lot of people have said this is the longest level in the campaign, but also that it is their favorite, so hopefully we can do it some justice. Perhaps you would like some interesting statistics on our railroad systems whilst you work. Something tells me you're going to send them anyway. Vote for mayor of 84. Yeah, this has been out for a while. Jeff Jefferson, Jeff Jefferson, the something or other. Oh, I see some gnomes. Jeff Jefferson the 7th. Oh, his father. Now that we've got the the brunt of it out of the way, we'll go ahead and get some of the graffiti here. So this one I've kind of been putting it off because I've read about how long it is, but it's not looking too bad this time. They say it's the longest, which is what's alarming. They say it's the longest one. I'm not sure how accurate that. It doesn't look that bad. It looks like there's a lot to clean for sure, but it doesn't look that bad. I'll clean up Caldera City and beyond. Sure you would. That's me. I will clean Caldera City. So that's one advertising board cleaned. I am happy that it is people's favorite though. It looks like a very subway tiles, you know. Tends to do very well. Maybe the roof is what slows it down. We'll clean it with the white and we'll check out the graffiti because this looks to be pretty funny. Pretty funny lore related stuff. Let's see here. Local legend. Keep winning. Who do we reckon that would be? Oh, that looks Grandpa Miller, L. Miller. Fire on the wheels. Ugh. We should keep this graffiti up for sure. Alas. We're not the one making the decisions. You've already heard my opinion on the skate park level, so we don't need to go into the graffiti business. We don't need to get in there. But hey, marketing idea. What about PowerWash proof graffiti? And then I can say, you know what? I tried to get rid of it. Stuff just stayed. Just stuck on there, man. This thing has not been dealt with since 1984. Oh, I cleaned up quite nicely. Alright, continuing on. I'm still at 0% though. That's quite alarming. I was hoping for a 1% at this point. Let's see. This looks like a driving me nuts with Esther Da. Why her name is that way, I don't know. Don't ask me. Faustina Trist, Arthur Brain, Derek Degas. As we can see, the car originally had some headlights on there, or some eyeballs. Some flowers. Quite nice graffiti. Grand Caldera Productions, 1984 will be the year we go off the road with Driving Me Nuts. Quite a good movie poster. I wonder if that's supposed to be a portrait of Esther Day off space. We never got to see it. And now it'll be lost. Now it'll be lost to the years. Still not 1% yet. This doesn't look that imposing, right? It's not that long. It's not that long of a walk. It is quite dirty, but they also have some very powerful cleaners. Ooh, don't want to get rid of any graffiti. We want to see what's up. Maybe too late for that. This one looks a little rougher around the edges. All that moss clings to it pretty good. Nothing we can't handle. 1%, we finally made it. That's a relief. At this rate, it'll only be 800 minutes long. The fun fair, 0 out of 10. Don't bother. Looks like it's got that guy's Helter Skelter on there. Opening night. Exciting business there. Wonder why everyone hates the Helter... I guess the Helter Skelter's not... It's probably that guy, right? Kevin Bernard's Helter Skelter. He's been at that since 1984. That's pretty wild. Don't bother. Somebody's got a competitor. Rides, stalls, foods, and drinks. August 11th, 1984. Something happened in 1984. Wasn't that a book? I'm picturing... I've never seen either movie, but for some reason, whenever I think about 1984, I'm picturing The Clockwork Orange, and I'm pretty sure it's got nothing to do with it. Vote for mayor, 1984. Jeff Jefferson. Catman. Dirty. Always lies. What are you talking about? Mayor Jeff Jefferson has never lied once. I'm sure he really is out there. I'm sure he really is out there doing the Archimedes water experiments. I'm sure it must be true. He said so. I believe Mayor Jeff Jefferson. We all do. That's why we voted his father in, and probably why we voted Jeff Jefferson in since the very beginning. There's no way he lied to us. Look, I'll go out on the river, and I mean, he escaped. Well, he did say he left by car, didn't he? And he very clearly did not. So, pardon me. City Stadium looks like another garden home with a cat saying meow in all different kinds of languages, just so you know. Is this meant to imply that Ulysses is the gnome? Not gonna lie, I also kind of got the feeling that maybe the gnomes were the monks, just because they seem to be in a lot of this anti-Jefferson propaganda. Oh, that's beside the point. This really drives it home, though. I think the gnomes and the cat are in cahoots. They must be. They must be. By the time we finish this, we'll be at 2%. Relatively easy challenge. Lots to talk about, too, examining the graffiti here. There we are. On to the last two, I believe. Another advertisement for the fair. What in the world is that? Let's get the grime off of here so we can look at some graffiti. Opening night, once more. Appears to be a bird of some sort. Oh, some people going down the Helter Skelter. This one seems to be a little nicer. But I don't know who the bird is. Maybe that's Kevin. Maybe he's tagged his own. Because he wants people really badly to go to his situation. We're at 2%. Nice. We're cleaning up, as it were. If you can believe it. It's kind of tough to see the advertising board. I'll give them that. It's kind of rough. Nice, okay. See what this one's got going on. Driving me crazy. Another advertisement for that. Oh, this one's not so happy. This time they're angry. Angry car. Driving me nuts. Sorry, not driving me crazy. I meant no offense to the artist responsible for the glorious movie driving me nuts. So I'm a little disappointed, I won't lie. They're going to make me clean all these first, and then they're only going to give me the same 4 billboards on either side. Surely we could have touched on the alien theory with the cats. Surely there could have been something. Maybe the playground opened up. Maybe it looked different. Maybe it was a different playground. Who knows? Okay, it has popped. We are good. So now the question comes, where do we even begin? We have a lot of benches. We got some graffiti going on up there. There's a lot of stuff. I think I would like to start on the platform proper, and then we'll get both of the sides, however that may go. We're going to kind of see how easy it is to clean with the white nozzle, because this is a relatively large area, and I would like for it to go relatively quickly. Okay, white's not doing too hot. What about green? How are we feeling about green? Green might work for us, as long as we make sure to get those corners. So we'll go ahead and get that. That was a pretty good process we had going on too, where we were cleaning up with the white and then touching up with the yellow, but I feel like if we did that too much, it would be more time consuming. Which usually isn't a problem, but it's not really what we're after. Yeah, I was thinking some of the grime would be on these metal bits. No problem, it's taken care of. Already making progress, 2% still. Not a lot of progress, but still progress nonetheless. We can squeeze behind here to get the remainder of this wall. And then we can, I think this is going to take some yellow. Maybe not. It's cleaning up rather nicely. Yellow might get it a little better. No point in not using yellow if the width of the thing is about the same amount as the yellow. So we'll go ahead and pop the extension off of there. Maybe just the short extension will do us, and it looks like it will. Perfect. Squeeze around here to the other side. 3% already. This is looking pretty good. A lot of people were comparing it to the length of the treehouse, but I don't see how that could be the case. Now, notably, did I already finish that? No, signal light. What's going on? What's going on? You tell me. Notably, one of the things they said was it's the railing, so I'm not sure how complicated the railing's going to be, but they did seem to think that it was more pleasant to deal with than all the balusters, which is fair. Is fair. Platform ledge. Oh, yeah, let's go ahead and define our space here, right? Get our extra long extension. We'll start on this wall over here, because this is part of the walls that we're cleaning. Looks like it's going to be a rather long one. I honestly think this will clean up a lot quicker than we think it will. I don't think we'll be sitting here for 3 hours. I was nervous it was going to be like a 4-hour thing, because a lot of people were saying this thing went on forever. And that made me nervous, because I don't mind longer levels, but I don't like being held hostage, and I don't want to do a 2-parter because that seems a little silly. So hopefully, they're saying the last level is the longest, but this one, last level in the campaign is obviously the longest, they said. But this one was still pretty long. I'm not sure how good the white will do here. We'll try it. As long as we're pretty particular, I'm hoping it'll clean up rather nicely. Yeah, it's doing alright. Not the best, but as long, maybe if we do 2 sweeps instead of just the 1, that'll do us some good. And maybe the people that were saying it's the longest level or took forever, maybe they weren't using the most powerful extension here. A lot of people fell into the trap that I did initially, which is to say, I don't know what I'm trying to do here. They didn't save up for the big buy. Platform wall. Yeah, this is kind of a little annoying to clean. It's like a large space, but it doesn't give you, you don't get quite the same satisfying up and down. I reckon that thing's gonna go all the way across there. Okay, well, we'll make our way over there. This platform wall seems to be a little bit okay. Maybe we could just get the long extension there, give us a little more. Does that clean up about the same? Yeah, it's about the same. We just gotta be careful. But I think it does give us a little more AoE. It helps us out in that regard. I'm gonna keep pressing tab just because it's hard to see up there, and I'd like to make sure it's all done. Don't want to waste any time hunting stuff down with a level of this size. 4%, we're doing pretty good. I reckon with these sizes also it would be kind of forgiving. I don't think it's gonna punish us too badly, but then I also remember the skate park floor, and that thing was picky. For now we'll just keep going back and forth, pressing tab on occasion to make sure we didn't miss anything, and of course it looks like we did. So the grime is rather stubborn. But that's okay. We aren't in any particular hurry. We just like to get there as quickly as we can without rushing. So we're doing a good job as we go. Oh, so that's as far as that goes. I reckon we'll just go ahead and get the other half. That's quite nice of it. It's interesting, because I assume the surface area is comparable to the entirety of the floor of the skate park, but I don't know for sure. I guess as long as you're going back and forth, it's not quite difficult to see where the dirt is that you've missed, right? Oh man, look at all that dirt that I missed and I didn't see. 5%, we're rocking and rolling now, buddy. Crazy, it's almost been 20 minutes. So we can multiply 6 times 5, 6 times, I don't know, what's the proper, so 20 minutes, which is 6% out of 100. 6%, but I mean, it's not really a quick number, but 5% at 20 minutes would imply 20 times 20, which is 400 minutes, so we've already halved what we thought it would be at least. Boy howdy, this wall sure is a mess. The other downside to situations like this is since you're so focused on getting all the little details, you can't really work as you go. Because you're kind of focusing on the one thing you're already working on. It should ding here shortly, I would hope. There we are. So we got all that done now. I would like to get this platform. Looks like it could be a little rusty, but our yellow nozzle is doing a pretty good job of cleaning it, as long as we get a little closer perhaps. Yeah, a little bit easier than before. It's the same story here. Working our way across. Oh, a little bit down here. Tunnel floor. I wonder how big the platform is relative to the tunnel itself. How much percentage? 'Cause this is pretty good distance. It's taken us quite a while, but we are making pretty good distance on this. We did miss a little bit here. I mean, the ledge isn't doing too bad. And hopefully the railings aren't too bad. It seemed to be the implication that they were quite rough, but I don't know. 10% will be in a little bit of a better spot to determine how things are going. Got our frame in cut nicely. Got the top and the bottom. Didn't stay close enough that I can see. There we are. So now we can start working. Man, the ceiling probably goes all the way across too. This is quite the undertaking. Let's see, how's white gonna do on here? Okay. I did say I work from the top to the bottom, so we'll go ahead and try that out and see how we go. ceiling platform lights done. That's nice. Maybe using these short, more concentrated strokes will help us out too. It looks like it's doing a fairly good job. Platform ceiling is coming along. We might need a little more detail for this time clock. There we are, and then we'll switch back to white. Make sure we get this light clean. I'm not sure what the yellow stuff is. I'm afraid to ask. Light cleaned up nicely. %, we're almost there. That should give us a reasonable estimate, I would hope. Lights clean. Platform ceiling. I guess it's going to stop us at about halfway, huh? Just don't go too fast. Don't get ahead of ourselves. I think we had a good system going, and then I tried to muck it up. Not intended. Yep, ceiling's done. Out to there. So I reckon this is the midway point, which means I'll go ahead and start cleaning up this thing. I think this one's going to be a little tougher to clean. We'll get it up to the midway point though. I don't want to stick on one thing too long. Platform ceiling. The green's kind of doing us well here as we continue. Be careful about these things, I think. Kind of a lot going on with these things where it joins the ceiling, so we just want to make sure to go extra careful, make sure we don't leave anything behind. Is that black mold? Hard to say. Now we're at 10%. Still looking like 300 minutes. 360 would be 6 hours, so still kind of praying this time comes down a little bit. $300 would be 5 hours, right? Pardon me. Okay, so that one wasn't too terrible. And I don't know how long we were at, 10 minutes, so maybe we have a little bit of leeway there. It does appear that the overhead section is going to be the hardest, just for consistency's sake. And then once we get here, we'll just clean down. Stuck on our own ladder. Okay. So now we'll just go ahead and get this wall here. This wall is cleaning up very nicely. especially for all the graffiti. I'd have expected that to be a little bit worse, but hey. Here we accept blessings. We make sure to keep them going. It does look like it's going to be a very satisfying clean just from the looks of things already. I'm actually torn between whether I want to start with the center platform or I want to work my way down both sides first and then get the platform proper. I feel like I've already started this side of the tunnel. There's quite a lot to do, so it's hard to decide which way would be the best way. But all ways are the best way as long as it gets done. You know? I guess the other thing that could make this as long as the tree houses. Just thinking about, like, because it all goes all the way down, right? I don't want to spend too much time thinking about that or we'll get stuck. So now we'll get the tiled platform floor and the yellow floor. We'll get that as we go. Okay, I see you. Might be faster just to go like this. Hopefully there's no third dimension on these little Lego pieces or we'll be here for a minute for sure. Tactile pattern floors on. Oh, they got little sections to them. That's not bad. We can go section by section then. Make sure we're not leaving anything behind on the gosh, the tiles. Yeah, the tiles I see are going to be satisfying. Look how they look. Man alive. I feel like this is going to be the whole platform floor, not just these little sections off to the side. That could be a bit of a problem. Not much. I want to make sure we don't leave much behind. That'll get us on the back half. Oh, maybe it doesn't go all the way across because there's like a metal platform floor there. So the subway tiles might go all the way across or something, but they don't. Certainly stop there. Can we put this somewhere that's already clean? Nope. Just against the other side there, I guess. Okay. That's unfortunate. We'll have to move it again, but hey. Keep getting along this tactile yellow floor. I guess it's a sorry, it's distracted by the sound of the washing machine. Alright, so that's clean, which means we can clean this out that far. And we might as well get this metal platform out of the way as well while we're going. Try and get it all in one go. Now the tile is being a little persnickety, even with the yellow nozzle. We can attempt to get it and the yellow. %. Wow. I think the tile might actually go all the way across from the looks of things. One thing I do like about this so far, from the looks of it, like again, I don't know about the railing, but it does look to me that it's a lot simpler than some of the other levels. It's not as complex as the underside of the monster truck, for example. There's not a whole lot going on with it. It's just a lot of area, which is kind of okay. Sometimes you need those breaks. Not a lot of balusters, like some of the other levels. Just a lot of stuff in general. But the textures are nice. So there is that. The one thing I suppose I feel like is that I don't know that they necessarily had to make stains that were harder to clean. Because I feel like the point of the level isn't, oh, I want to spend a million years in this level just cleaning the dirt off. It is cleaning the dirt off, but you don't want to, like, the duration of how long you have to sit here holding it doesn't necessarily make the game more or less fun. I feel like it's more so just the cleaning in general. So if this does slow it down too much, that could be a hindrance. But a lot of people enjoyed it, so I'm assuming they got everything right. Not a criticism, just a thought. Because this would be a perfect level for the white nozzle to really shine through, but I feel like it just doesn't accomplish as much as the yellow nozzle. Green nozzle might be okay, but the time it takes to experiment with them, you might as well have just used the yellow nozzle the whole time, you know? That is a criticism I've seen levied against it, is there's really no use for the other nozzles, because anytime you're using another nozzle, the yellow nozzle will probably do it better. I mean, there is like the red and the turbo nozzle, of course, for the really hard to get areas, but mostly the yellow seems to be everybody's preference. And I can see why. Tile platform 4 is about half the way through, so looks like it will be a full line sort of deal. And then we'll have to go get the other side. I don't know, well, I guess the other side of the ceiling will have to be gotten as well. I will say though, it does feel like not a lot of time is passing. I keep glancing up and a lot of time has gone by, but it's not too bad. I feel like if you're feeling that loss of time, that's probably what you're aiming for. It means you're immersed in what you're doing. And when the game captures that immersion, that's when I feel like it's at its best, so we do have that going for us. Forgot about the metal strip, but we'll keep that rolling as well. Go ahead and get that first and work our way down to get these between the poles. So far the poles are proving to be our biggest issue, but they're even hardly an issue. See where this next tactile thing ends as well. Feel like that'll help us out. Also trying to map it in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I've already gone this long, I'm gonna have to do this on the other side as well. So that's kind of scary to think about. Okay, so that's the next chunk. And this is pretty much all the way across, so we'll just finish it up as well, since it's proving difficult to keep track of. Okay. Now we'll continue with the floor. About 15% of the way there. Does sound like my wash is done, so I'm gonna go check on that real quick, and I'll be right back for you. A mere instant will have passed for me. Maybe not so much. I don't know why I'm zigzagging. I kind of want to get this floor done first, and then I'll go check. Shouldn't be too much of a hassle. Today is kind of a busy day because I've got to do this. I've still got to edit a video to release tonight. And then I'm doing my laundry, of course. And I've got work tonight. Not to bring the vibes down, I'm just thinking of all this stuff. It's kind of stressing me out a little bit. And I don't mean to bring that stress here. But it helps to sort of get it off my chest. If you're wondering why I seem a little perturbed about the time. And I'll need to get this one edited for tomorrow. Tomorrow night going into... I work nights, so... sometimes I get my times messed up. But this is, I believe, the 31st episode, so this should be episode 31 on the 31st of January. Which I think we're in the 30th... No, we're in the 29th today. 29th is today. I've got to edit a video for tonight. 29th into 30th, and this will be the 30th into the 31st. So I'm really praying this thing cuts me some slack, because they say it takes about as long as it. That's why I'm concerned about the time. It's just a lot to do and not a lot of time to do it, it feels like. And then this tactile platform doesn't look like it'll be too bad. We'll finish it up. And then we'll work our way down. Just as we did the other side, we'll work on the outside wall first, going up to the ceiling. We'll get everything sorted away. I think we already got the outside wall, actually. I think I went ahead and gifted myself that. This tiled floor is just about done. We're missing quite a bit. In my haste. In my disgusting haste. We're supposed to be chill and relaxed, and I'm stressing about time? Unreal. Okay. I know I said I wanted this... I did say, I just want to finish this tiled portion first, and then I'll go check on the laundry. But now, I kind of want to get this yellow out of the way as well. Because it's right here, it's not all the way across. It's practically already finished. There we are. Alright, I'm going to check my laundry now. I'll be right back. Yeah, that wall's done. I'll be right back. And I'm back. I know, it's amazing how quickly I can do laundry when I can edit it out in post. Anyway, we're back here again. I think we start with this wall here. I think I'm going to switch to the extra long nozzle just to make sure I'm not getting any of that stuff left behind. Nothing more frustrating than not getting it on the first pass. Though it's such a... It makes it so thin then that it's tough to keep your wet edge. That my wrist is not straight apparently. Let me try to reposition. Kind of. Gotta stand back a little bit. That kind of helps out. So it's a little bit of a cheeky speed boost. I should stand further away so you can get more quickly. Sneak around the back half. Get that shadow out of the way. It hasn't dinged you. Oh, probably because of that, huh? Clean this little track light, signal light off. There we are, signal light's done. See how we feel about this thing cleaning up over here. See, it feels like it leaves that shadow in its wake. We're kind of at an angle here, but that's alright. Cleaning it up is the big thing. The other benefit to this, having to do laundry, is now I don't know. I'm not really sure where the time at for the video is. I had to stop and took an indeterminate amount of time out. So you won't hear me commenting on that anymore. It's pretty exciting, huh? Maybe the trick is not to be too careful, but to kind of like go quickly at first and then clean up a little bit more detailed afterwards. Like now I go back and I get that little sort of stuff. And we can kind of come up here. I think it would behoove me to get my edges clear. Make sure those are clean first. I notice they don't like to clean up too good. And then we can kind of work, be a little more loose with the rest of it. The edges I feel like will try and get you. There we are, getting there, getting there. Yeah, the white's pretty much doing nothing. The green kind of cleans pretty good. You get one pass on the green with the horizontal strokes. And flip it around and give it a second pass with the vertical strokes. Maybe that'll work out in our favor, huh? Kind of. Gives us a little bit of a bigger area. Perhaps that'll be the strategy. That cleaned up rather nicely. I think we have a strategy on our hands there. Now we just got all the ceiling to deal with. This time I think I'll get both chunks of the ceiling at the same time in hopes that that will assist me. We'll get the top. I'll probably keep the yellow on for this. The top, that light, and we'll get the bottom down here. We can just about get both at the same time, but the strokes just, I guess we could crouch down and give us a little bit of space to work with. Not quite speedy enough to get, to just hold the button down though, so that's a little questionable, and that's not cleaning up too perfectly, but hey. Maybe the problem is here. If we get this area first, we start with the edge. It's just tough to see. I remember before I was saying I don't want to use that too much. Now here I am, pretty much relying on it almost solely. Guess that's the way things are, hey? time clock. Back when we had to learn to read a clock properly. Hour hand and minute hand and all that. Lights clean. Sneak in here and get behind the time clock. And that could work at a distance maybe. I don't want to spend too much time trying to figure out how to make that work, so we'll stick with yellow for now. Hey, we're already halfway there on this platform ceiling. That's great news. Oh, they're both considered the platform ceiling, and they're both different. Okay, okay, I see you. This one kind of has to work around the pole. Don't we all? The way's come a long way in the short time that we've had to deal with it already. Oh yeah, I forgot there's like this whole ledge back here that I have to worry about. Should grab that as we go, lest we forget it exists. Maybe this is the best way to go about it. Get these long strokes going. Constant evolution. And the lights would act as convenient markers. Tell us how far we have gone and how far we should get next. Hypothetically. Not sure how much that works in theory, but hey. A little less on these, I see. These poles in the way. Unless I get down on the floor, maybe. This ain't too bad. Down the floor. Why don't I just switch to the shorter nozzle, you say? Or the shorter extension? So I will not be controlled by the dirt that I seek to control. How about that? How about that? You already get the backside of this thing? Kinda looks like it. So we'll just get this. How's that looking? Platform ceiling's almost done. Yeah, we're here at the center, I see. Okay. Not too shabby. Except for this big section that we didn't do. Alright. Lights done. Now, I suppose, one way to look at this is that if we were to mirror this progress on the other side, we'd be at about 38%. Platform screen. Washingham is closed. Caldera City is on time. Alright. So I think the next step will be, obviously we need to get the, what are these called? Pillars. It's got a name right there. Hi there. I would ask if you would clean my caravan, but I already know that what your answer is. Oh. Okay, great. And I guess I don't have to answer. Caldera City's subway system was built using over 16 million bricks. Pretty impressive. I think. How many bricks are normally used? I don't know. If you were to pile them up top to tail, they would extend a staggering 2,137 miles into the Earth's atmosphere. That's is that realistic for a subway? That's only a tantalizing 236,718 miles short of the moon's surface. Listen, bub. Listen, friend. I'm kind of like elbow deep in grime, alright? Put air vents on the pillars. Pretty impressive. For the 80s. For the 80s, that's pretty impressive. I don't know if that's true or not. Feels true, so I'm going to say it. It feels true, so I'm going to say it, and therefore it is true. For the 80s, that's pretty good. I don't want any of you people from the 80s coming in here and saying, what do you mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean by that. It's pretty good for the 80s, you know? That's what I mean. That means back in that time, you guys didn't have a whole lot going on to be able to figure out to put vents in the pillars. I'm surprised you even knew that you had to put vents there in the first place. This is like subway stations at that time. Revolutionary. I don't actually know. Like, don't cite me on. Don't put this in your essay on the subway system because you're not going to get very good points, that's for sure. I don't know what I'm talking about. But that would imply, I would assume, that the vent has to run through the center of the pillar in order to get out somehow. So wouldn't like this half of the, like this half right here of the pillar would be, unless they, like the support is here and then the vent runs down, but there'd have to be enough space for there to be like a bend. Like it bends and goes up. Like only half of this could be a pillar. You know what I mean? There's no space. How do they get a vent in the pillar? Unless it's through the center of the pillar. Or somehow the rebar. I don't know. I can't figure it out. I don't know if that's realistic, spatially speaking. I can't be up to code. Back on that code again. Cannot be up to code. It simply cannot be. And I think once we get the pillars done, we've kind of... I mean, we can get the back side of the ceiling, I suppose. And that'll be one half of the platform done. And then we can kind of work our way up the other platform. An intimidating prospect after what we've just been through. Harrowing. I'm sure you guys are brave enough. We'll see this through together. Like surely some of the stuff on something of this size, surely some of the stuff would be easily cleaned by white. Still stuck on this? Yes, I'm still stuck on that, okay? The white nozzle is too big to never be good. Especially in big areas like this, we put every graffiti on everything. Fine. But why? Why did we do that? Also, this graffiti is more along the lines of what I was anticipating when they said graffiti. Air vent is cleaned. Perfect. Of course, the other thing we could do is go and get the outside over there. Not worry about crossing back over the tracks to get it later. You can get this half done and that half done and then finish with the tile in the center. That can be a thing we do. And for now I'll get these back sections here. Main ceiling walls. Of course, it's probably going to make me get up so I can skim them. So I'm probably going to need the ladder all the way across, I'm guessing. Yeah, I bet they fit in there rather nicely, don't they? Just look at them. Just to get these ledges. Unreal. Okay. That's one of the things done. The uplighting ledge, I see. I don't even know if this is actually getting all this dirt up here, but we'll see. Yep. Uplight's done, uplight ledge is not. Yep, there it is, okay. Honestly, it feels a lot more doable with the sectioned off areas here. That's kind of funny. Like if this were consistent across the entirety of the tracks, I think we'd be in business. It's crazy to me that even if we had done this on both sides so far, we'd only be at 42%. That's a little disconcerting. We're gonna have to get started on these tracks and see how quickly they go. Okay, one more of these. Oh no, it's very pretty though. Can't wait to get those subway walls over there by the advertisements. Try and trick me, fool. Alright. So 42% of the thing would be done if we had this done on both sides. I'm not sure how these rails are going to go. Why don't we start with the wall since we got the advertisements? We'll start with the wall. Oh, they're tile. Beautiful. Beautiful tile. How would they clean with the white? Not overly promising, I'll tell you that. If we slow it down a little bit, it could be better. I just think white's leaving too much behind, as always. It's unfortunate. You'd expect, as the power washers to get better, the white might be more applicable, but you can't really feel the power in the power washer sometimes. Like, you get the best upgrade, and you're still stuck wondering, like, why is there not even better than this? But alas, we shall persevere. Tunnel lights done. It kind of makes me want to get this ceiling as we go. Just because there's so much of it. I would kind of like for this trip to be like a one-way trip. We just kind of go down, get all the sides at once. That would be ideal. So we've got most of the wall done. Green appears to be doing an alright job. I switch to yellow for the ground. That's quite good on the ground. Given how close we are to the material we're working with, maybe not too bad. Let's switch this to the short extension and we'll switch it to yellow because we're going to get the rail here. This was kind of what people were talking about when they said once the railing was done they felt a lot better. Doesn't look like it's going to be too much of a problem. But I also don't know how the third dimension impacts this stuff, you know? This reminds me of the shorts where people are like, I'm tired of being short, then just grow. And then jump up. Why didn't I think of that? It's an interesting time to be alive. Like as a creator and somebody who enjoys creations. Because it used to be that people were like don't get me wrong, there were definitely a lot of like copycats and stuff. Somebody found something successful and then people would imitate it. But that happens on such a grand scale now. YouTube shorts, they just take the same stuff and play it over and over and people will watch it over and over. It's pretty impressive. It's like there's still the desire for new things, I'm sure, because you have to find new stuff to emulate over and over, but it's strange to me that people do the same things just ad infinitum. Like the other thing I see a lot of is the people who are like, oh, what do you have? I have this. What do you have? And they'll have the same punchlines, quote unquote. So it'll be like, clearly, somebody's copied the other, and I don't care too much to figure out who's who. But, like, it would be funny if it naturally occurred. But you see it so many times, it's hard to believe that it's happened that many times, that it's not a copy of the other thing. Like the one example I have is people who are like, I've got your cup. Oh, you've got my, and then they'll specify the color of the cup. Yes, that cup. And of course, they'll have that cup, and they'll be lying about whatever it is they have. And that's the setup. So then so when they finally show each other, like, oh, you've had colored cup the whole time. It couldn't have been me. Like, okay, that happens a couple of times, I'm sure. Maybe once, maybe a second time, but it's just so consistently the same. It's so consistent. And I've even seen now where people are like recreating Karen sketches. Like somebody saw one in the wild, right? Like the original chili one, where it's like, see my purse? That means I'm first. Oh, congratulations on being the first one to Chili's. You know what? I don't like your attitude. And then she throws the cup at the windscreen. I said windscreen. I've been playing this game too much. At the windshield? Okay, you see that in the wild. That's believable. You're like, wow, some people. But then people are recreating the scene and still adding it to compilations like, oh, top 10 Karens. That's not a Karen. That's a content creator. That's a content creator emulating a Karen, which is bizarre to me. I don't understand how things work anymore. It's a very confusing time to be alive. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. What's in? What's out? Who knows? Oh, that's not too bad. As long as it cleaned all the way down. Yeah. Maybe the problem isn't with the white nozzle. Maybe the problem is I just used too long of an extension. Getting fairly good. Not a lot of stuff left behind. A little spot here and there, but I think that's doable. We're getting a lot more accomplished on this sweep. Almost a quarter of the way through. Perhaps things will go a little more smoothly now that I understand what I'm doing with the nozzle situation. Like I said, we're leaving a little stuff behind, but nothing I have to be too obsessive about. A little spot there, a little spot here. Of course, up in the crevice. I think I'll go to the wall light here. We haven't even made it to the first billboard yet. I don't know what I'm talking about. But it looks like they've sectioned off the walls too, so one wall is not going to go. Let's see about this light. And the cable might go all the way across, but I think the wall is going to be in portions. So we'll go to this little cable section here, and we'll call this where our next section will be. And we'll get the ceiling and the floor up to that point. Hopefully we'll have a little system going. But I think we've gotten to the point where our desire for new content seems to exceed our ability to create content. Maybe there aren't enough creatives in the world. I'm not saying that I'm a creative by any extension of the means, or I'm doing anything new by playing video games on YouTube, right? But it seems like there are too few people doing new things, and the demand is just higher. Like, we need new things to do, but there's no new things to do because no one's done them yet. So we're just going to continue. And I've always been of the persuasion where it's like, what am I trying to get my words together here? Where it's like I guess it's kind of like Jim Butcher said, which is what I've always believed as well, which is, even if there's no new idea, there's a new way to present ideas, right? Which is not what we're experiencing at all, which is kind of crazy. But it's like I think we talked about the story of Star Wars, story of Harry Potter. You put them side by side, you can make some pretty persuasive comparisons. But it doesn't feel like they've just taken the same idea. They're two different stories, different characters, different approaches. And yeah, the beats are the same, but the stories themselves are different. Whereas now, it's the exact same story. It's the exact same joke. It's the exact same song. It's the exact same everything. Everything's exactly the same all the time. What is going on? That confuses me. It confuses me. Like, there's no tomorrow. And I mean, I get it. Memes. I do love me some memes. And memes aren't all creative in that way, maybe. They're the same templates, the same setups, the same jokes. But even within memes, like, there's some variation. There's some new, different punchline. I'm not getting that anymore. I can't see the new ideas, the new trends. It seems like everyone's just trying to, like, it's not an evolutionary, iterative process anymore where people are collaboratively making these jokes. It's like, oh, that performed well. I would also like to perform well, so I'm going to do the exact same thing. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. You're going to watch. You're going to click. And the other things I noticed where people do that it gets on my nerves. But I guess people, like, maybe they're genuinely excited about it. Maybe that's their thing. And maybe I'm being too harsh. But it's all these, like, silly little dances. Like, I don't know what the official name of it is, but the one where they do the Chinese dance that's been going around is pretty grating at this point. But the other one is the I'm not cute anymore, where they swing their leg and they look like they're running and someone picks them up by the hoodie or whatever. That was really cool the first time I saw it. Props to whoever that was. I don't know if they were even the original creator. That's how bad it's gotten. I don't know if it was whose idea it was originally. But props to the creator who got it across my front page first, because I was like, oh wow, that's pretty neat. And then I saw it again. I saw it again. I saw it again. I saw it again. And I said, get ready for this one. This one's a hilarious joke. You're not going to have seen this one coming. This one's going to blow your socks off. I said, that's not cute anymore. Yeah, I know. See? I'm freaking hilarious. But yeah, it's just, I don't know what to make of this landscape. I don't know what people are doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I forgot where this all transpired from. Okay. I feel like we made a fair bit of ground here. A fair bit. Didn't say a lot. I said a fair bit. It seems like using the short extension is somehow providing an excellent boost of pressure without sacrificing our width. I think we found a good balance there, so we're working along quite nicely. Tunnel ceiling looks like it might not quite go all the way across, which is reassuring. Okay, we still got our cables to work with. We are a quarter of the way done, which means if we had done this on both sides, we'd be halfway done. This is how math works, so just gotta check it out sometimes. I just gotta make sure. I might just work the ceiling until it dings. This is going pretty well. I might just work the ceiling until we get a ding that says this half of the ceiling or whatever is done. There's the first billboard. So we're closing in on the halfway mark, but we're only hitting billboard 1. I also feel like this kind of content creation cycle that people are going through with the shorts, I feel like it's not something that can last. Now look, I'm not a short form content guy. Sometimes I get stuck. I'll start doom scrolling on the YouTube shorts, don't get me wrong. But I don't feel like it's sustainable long term. I feel like it'll get tiring. I feel like people will get exhausted by it. The people that are like needlessly clamoring for views. Well, I don't know if it's needlessly. Maybe that's the new scope of things. It's been a while since I've tried the YouTube thing, and even when I felt like I had a pretty good grasp on it, I'm not sure what I was doing right. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. This isn't even saying what it is bad. This is just an observation, right? So I feel like it's not sustainable because I feel like people are going to get bored. It's very, I guess that's true of everything. Nothing is sustainable forever. Eventually the jokes get tiring and you want to start a new joke or whatever. But I feel like the constant, like, it's got to be obvious at some point, right? People that are watching, surely they become aware of the patterns. Like, these people, maybe not. Maybe this is coming from someone who was like trying to do the YouTube thing before. So it's like, I look into marketing and stuff occasionally. So maybe that's where it's coming from, as I see it from a marketing perspective. But surely people see the patterns and they start realizing that this is not sincere entertainment, this is just a cash grab. I would hope. And it's going to be even trickier with the AI situation, I'm sure. But people don't, like, my uncle doesn't understand engagement baiting, where somebody will say something blatantly wrong, or have an opinion they don't actually care about that they know will get people upset, and he'll take it every time, dude. He'll take it every time. He'll make some argument online and he'll get banned on TikTok or whatever. I'm trying to keep my voice low because he listens in. But he'll argue with him, and then he'll come to me and he'll be like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, I think that's engagement bait that you just fell for, and somebody out there is making money off of your click." And I bet you that AI algorithms will be able to generate engagement baiting. So I presume this is going to get a little bit worse before it gets better. But anyway, what was I getting at? Oh yeah, people are going to get... I kind of went a roundabout way, but back to the marketing aspect of it. People aren't doing things... Like maybe there's a percentage of people, right, who see the dances, and they're like, "Oh cool, I want to do the dance too. I want to show everyone that I can do the dance." So they do the dance. But at some point, I don't know where that point is. I can't tell you whether more people are like that or more people are like what this point that I'm getting to are. But the general idea is somebody's going to say, "Oh, that dance is performing well. I'm going to do that dance so that I can get clicks." It's like that for everything. Like recreating the Karens. "Oh, these Karens are getting a lot of views. I'm going to be a Karen." And first of all, like, why? Why not just let the natural Karens do their thing? And the answer is obviously because there's probably more money in it for me if I do the Karen thing for a little bit. I'm just going to work this all the way down if I'm not careful. Where's the roof? Up there. This is kind of easy. This is kind of nice to go through here and get everything. And we can get the rails on the back side. Once we hit this halfway point, which I'm assuming is here. This looks to be the halfway point. But you see the same things. They do the same songs. And like, okay, so those are the more... Like, oh, you can't really tell. Maybe people enjoy the dances, maybe they're grabbing for money, whatever. Cynical part of me says they're grabbing for money most of the time, but I don't know for sure, so I'll just leave it be. Fine. But what is obviously the obvious ones, hey, use this sound and you'll get 1 million views or whatever, there's clearly engagement from remixing the shorts. I don't know what the situation is, but every time you take that sound, I assure you that it benefits them a lot more than it benefits yourself. Or the people who are obviously trying to get the kids to click on their videos. "All you green screen kids, stop making green screens of my videos." Yeah, that guy is trying to get you to... That guy is manipulating children to make green screen remixes of his videos. Because it benefits him a lot more than it benefits the kids. That's the stuff that I find kind of exhausting. Just thinking about, like, is that all YouTube's going to be? Is all this pandering to different audiences? And in some capacity, that's always going to be there, right? I'm not saying we need to get rid of all of it. I don't think that's possible. I'm under no delusion there. But like, they can't be... There's no way that can continue to be how things are. People can't... We can't just continue down the slop route, right? And again, I'm under no pretense that I'm not saying that, hey, this PowerWash Simulator content is like the Sistine Chapel of YouTube right now. No, there are plenty of great creators out there. And this is my thing. This isn't... I'm not intending to market this to anybody in particular. I am of the belief that if I make it, somebody who jives with it, even if it's not like a perfectly well thought out vibe. Somebody's gonna vibe with this. Somebody's gonna vibe with me. Somebody's gonna vibe with what I'm saying, what I'm playing. Somebody's just gonna want some chill content. They're gonna want a break from all that stuff going down. That's where I'm at. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I'm under no delusions about where I am in the scheme of things. I know my relevancy is 0. I am sure that it may always be 0. But if you happen across this video and you start hearing what I'm talking about, I hope you can see it for yourself, dude. I hope you can see it for yourself. And I don't necessarily know that there's any harm in making content like that, because it's kind of playful for the kids, right? Like, oh, they get to agitate. Like, it's kind of like the guy at the fairs where he's like, oh, throw an apple and try to dunk the clown, and the clown's talking a lot of trash. There's an exchange there. I get it. Yeah, the crazy blueberry man tells me not to green screen his videos. Hee hee, I'm gonna green screen his videos. It's playful for the kids, sure. But oh man, like there's no way to distinguish that from what I'm watching. If I didn't come there for it and I end up watching it, that's in the algorithm. Oh, he watched it. He must be into that. No, no, I'm not. Shorts are already short to begin with. Sometimes I just watch to see where it goes. Which is another funny thing, because I've experienced people that just like power their way through YouTube shorts. Like, they get the gist of the video instantly and they're like, oh, I'm not interested. I'm so confused, because I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing? Why are you skipping through that? I didn't even register what that was going to be. I was curious. No curiosity, I'm bored. It's like a whole different landscape. Maybe I'm just getting old. Maybe this is just how things are going to be from here on out. Maybe this is new content. I don't know. I don't know, man. Pretty scary if it is. Not just an old man yelling at a cloud kind of way. It's just kind of scary for me, I guess. I'll have to adapt to the new short form crazy content. No farming for likes, farming for kids to click. Because, I hate to say it, but for the most part, if things are going well, the children are always going to be your biggest audience, because there's more of them. And short form content appeals to that, because there ain't no way. That's why I make such long videos. Not really. There ain't no way a 7-year-old's gonna sit through me playing a PowerWash Simulator level for like 2 or 3 hours. You know what I mean? Short form content, kids, goes hand in hand. They're gonna scroll, they're gonna click, they're gonna scroll, they're gonna click. I've seen it. My nephew's like that. I have seen it firsthand. It's a great way to make money. I just wish, I wish that was not how things were. That's okay. That's it. We'll all find. There's room, I'm sure, on the internet for everybody. It's all about finding your place. Try not to be all doom and gloom about it. Try not to be the old man yells at the clouds about it, but it is a confusing time. And it's hard not to disparage when you prefer something else. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to talk trash on these creators. I'm not trying to talk trash on the kids or what they like. I don't understand it. I don't know how to adapt to it. I don't know how to get it out of my feeds. I just want things to go back. You know, this railway system, this ain't too bad. It's a lot easier than I thought it would be. A lot less demanding. 31, so hopefully things continue to go well over here. We'll get this cable halfway, and hopefully that'll be got. Oh, that's the halfway point, so we didn't quite get it. Cable actually, I think, goes all the way. But the floor here is doing pretty okay. I think the rail might go all the way across too. The track, so I won't know if that's done until I do the whole floor, huh? That's alright. We'll get it eventually. As long as we get to the halfway point by the time we get to the halfway point, you know what I mean? When I look at these tracks, they should be roughly halfway. These little things they're sitting on that make it a little tough. Try to make sure you get both sides. Otherwise, that's about the halfway point. Got the track done. Or the halfway point of the track done. Get this floor done. It's just about done as it is. Just kind of hoping to cheese it a little there. There we are. Track floor is done. Tracks are looking pretty good. Now we'll just work our way across the wall with little to hold us back. Make sure the light's done. I'll work this tunnel wall. So yeah, it's not too bad. It goes to the halfway point then as you continue. So this is really kind of telling us how much we're gonna get if we consider going about this however we go about this. That's not really a descriptive thing to say. But I mean, close to 50%. We want it to be closer to 50% than 40%, let's say. Or 30% even. Well, we're at 30%, but 35% would be killer. Pardon me. Of the hiccups. The green screen thing, I can't keep thinking all the different shorts I saw, the ones where it's like, hey, stop green screening me. That's one thing. And I mean, Twitch streamers would do that too. Like every time you get I remember watching a video that was talking about this, and it's like every time you get one of those Twitch streamers that's like, stop, but they don't do anything about it, that's actually saying, hey, keep going, keep engaging with me that way. I don't like it. Wink, wink. I don't like it. I think that was that was back when the girl streamers are so much easier to be than boy streamers. Like the whole marketing strategy of the girl streamer would be to tell guys to stop saying things. And of course you would have the white knight stepping in and saying, hey, she said stop, buddy. And that's one form of engagement, but then also the people that continue to say it because they want to make her uncomfortable or whine or whatever. That's the other way. So you're getting like twice the engagement for half the effort. I think Queso kind of does that too, just judging by his content. Because he gets ragged on all the time, but he's still like, stop it, I'm gonna throw you out or ban you, or whatever it is Twitch streamers say these days. So it is a viable marketing strategy. I just don't. The green screen thing in particular, I guess, is kind of funny to me. Because apparently that's a big avenue. The animators have done it too. I've seen some pretty weird people on there like, oh, you're green screening me again? Where am I? What am I doing? Am I punching this thing? Like intentionally trying to create situations to get green screened into as a meme. That's pretty wild to me. That makes me stop and go, what are we doing? Is this what we're doing? Of course, I always have trouble don't know if fitting in is the proper terminology, but like understanding why people do the things they do has always like mystified me. I don't, like if I don't see the reason to do something, I kind of don't understand why people do it. Sports is a big one. I don't understand why people are crazy about sports. I don't understand team pride. My whole thing with team pride, right? And this is tough because I'm growing up in, or I'm living in Kansas City with a bunch of Kansas City fans. But like the question I always find myself asking is like, are these players from Kansas City? Some of them, yes. Some of them, no. Sometimes they're not from Kansas City. So what's the deal with that? We buy the best players, okay. But if the players aren't from Kansas City, and I don't know if the coaches are from Kansas City, I don't know how that situation goes. So why do we care so much about what Kansas City does? They're not Kansas. They play for Kansas City, but they're not Kansas City athletes. So I'm kind of confused. We're just rooting for the team because it's got our name attached to it. Like hypothetically speaking, you could take every player on the Kansas City Chiefs and they could go to other teams and a whole new roster of players would be playing for Kansas City. And we wouldn't follow those players, we would follow the team. I don't understand. So what is the team? Why do we have pride as a team? It's just got our name on there, man. I don't get that. I don't understand how to partake in sports. I don't know how to understand getting excited for your team. Like I'm happy for the people that derive enjoyment from things. I'm not trying to shit on them at all. I wish I understood. I don't. And every time I ask, people get like super offended. They're like, "You just don't understand, man. You just need to shut the hell up." I don't know. Maybe that's just my problem all the way around. Is I don't know. I don't get the irrationality of it, or the rationale, I suppose. And it would be a different thing altogether, right? If you were just like, "Oh, I just love the game. I just enjoy watching football in general." I don't. That makes sense. Oh, you like seeing athleticism. You like seeing people strategize. Stuff of that nature. It's the love of the game. Okay, I comprehend that. But no, they want their team to go to the Super Bowl. They want their team to do this. They want their team. Like these people they're not even from the city that you're from. What are you talking about? Why do you care so much? That's what confuses me. I get wanting to see athletes perform at their best. And I don't think sports would be the same if it weren't for this like tribalism, right? The tribalism is a part of it. It's gotta be. That's how you sell merchandise. You move merchandise by appealing to that sense of them versus us. But doesn't mean it makes sense to me. I don't really understand it. It sells tickets though. Maybe they wouldn't be as profitable if they did. Like that's got to be the marketing gimmick, right? Back to marketing. It's all about making them say, "Oh, us versus them." That's why that's why they're the Kansas City Chiefs. So everyone in Kansas City is buying Kansas City merch, saying, "Hey, look at us. We're the Kansas City team. Our team is doing well." Even though it's completely arbitrary, who's doing what? Like the Kansas City Chiefs could probably all move to a different city. I'm sure that's happened before. I'm sure, weren't they the Texans at one point, based on what I've heard, like through secondary language, like teams moved to different cities. They're even moving to Kansas now, which is, does anybody care about that? I'm not sure, but they're moving from Missouri to Kansas. They could have moved to any other place, I'm sure. They can move to Kansas. They could move to Ohio. They could move anywhere. So what is the point of the pride of the team? What are we doing? What are we talking about? That's how it feels for me about a lot of things. I don't understand. A lot of people just, they buy into it and they're happy and they get together, they celebrate together, they do Super Bowl parties and stuff like that, which I have no qualms about not being invited to those, right? Because I don't understand football. I don't belong in a Super Bowl party. But that creates a lot of situations for me where I don't know how to relate to people. I don't understand how to connect with people in meaningful ways because the things that they're interested in, I don't grasp. It's tough. Now I'm kind of hitting a dry spell in my commentary because I'm not sure where to proceed. I could talk about competitive games, I guess. That was another thing that I was thinking of was, like, I liked playing competitive games for a while. I liked the idea of improving at the game, but I never got any, like, super good at any games. Maybe just marginally better at it than I was. That's beside the point. I realized that they made me very angry and that the friendships that I made in those games weren't super lasting because usually we'd have like differences of opinions and get into like little scuffle fights or whatever about what should be going on and what's not going on and who's doing what. And that's when I learned that generally speaking, it's not true of everybody. There are some people out there who can tolerate losing at video games way better than I can. But there are people, a lot more people out there that get angry when they play video games. I'm sure. A lot more people tilt playing competitive video games than ever before. And I don't get that. That's why I stopped playing, because I don't understand. I'm putting my happiness in the hands of like however many people there are, usually like 10, maybe 12, depending on the game. Whether it's like a 6-man team or a 5-man team or whatever is going on. I'm putting my joy, my happiness in the hands of 10 to 12 total strangers, including myself, or friends, or whatever. Our ability to outplay the other person. Who could be better than us, I don't know. We haven't established that yet. We're still in the establishment phase of this game. I don't know, it just seemed a little crazy to me after a while. That's why I was like, I'm not happy when I play the games. I argue with my friends when I play these games. I don't know that I want to play these games. I wonder if the games would be as popular if people realize that. Because surely, like in sports, there are people who are good at the game, who can play it at a high skill level, and not get angry at their friends or whatever, business partners or however they view themselves, I'm not sure. But I'm not one of those people. And I would hazard to guess that a lot of people are probably not those people. I would hazard to guess that most people are probably not those people. I would hope. I would hope I'm not just outlandishly angry, but it could be the case. So I don't really understand how those are as popular as they are. Now watching them, I guess, same as professional sports, right? Playing them. You hear so many stories of people who are like, yeah, I come home to get mad at League of Legends. After a long day of work, time to boot up League of Legends and just get angry. Recreationally. Oh, is that what we're doing with our time? That doesn't make sense to me. Yet another avenue for socialization that has been closed off. And I did attempt, okay? So hold on, before you go, why don't you just try not getting mad? I did attempt to go back to it after a while with a fresh mindset. I told myself, hey, it's been a while since I've played League of Legends. I bet I'll be okay this time. No, it worked for a little bit, and then I started getting angry. And I started getting mad again. That's when I uninstalled it for the second time. And the crazy thing is, it's the same with the team sports situation, right? You follow the money, you know what they started doing? They started adding all those little emotes. Started adding the emotes. And emotes are not generally like a detoxifying situation. Like, you don't get an emote and somebody doesn't put the, like, whatever, I don't know, like a crying face when you die, or a tombstone, or whatever it is people do when you die. There is no situation where you get one of those and you're like, oh, haha, very funny. It's almost always an angry response. So in a way, they're soft encouraging it. They'll publicly say, hey, we don't want people to tilt. We don't want people to get mad. This is a non-toxic environment, right? We want people to have a good time. But then they'll sell they'll sell little emojis that you can send to each other in the middle of a game to talk shit. They know. The market knows. They know who they're advertising to. And it's not the people. They want people angry enough. They want angry people to play their game. Because they want angry people to talk shit to each other. The key is to not make it look like you want angry people playing your game. So publicly you denounce angry people. You say, hey, report them if they're being toxic. But then you're also kind of making the place toxic. You know what I mean? You're making it a little bit toxic because that's your fan base. Your fan base is toxic. That's kind of how things are. So like I'm almost egotistical enough to say that my analysis is probably correct. But it does not benefit me to be correct beyond like individually, oh, I don't partake of that because individually I know it's bunk. It doesn't help me socially. You know what I mean? Does not help me socially. I guess that's logical. Hey, that thing you do that you tell yourself you like to do, you probably don't like it very much. And the people that are benefiting from you not liking it are making money off of your unhappiness. No, I don't think so. I don't think that's right. I wouldn't think that anyone would... Oh, you know what? What an insightful revelation you've got there. I'm going to stop playing immediately. Probably is not going to go over well. They're going to be like, yeah, okay, buddy, whatever. That's what I would do if someone told me not to do the things that I do. I'm human. I do the same stuff. Not exempt. That is just an observation. Observation that I have made. Construction began on the Muckingham to Caldera City branch line in 1920, funded by local businessman Wilbur Force Thrust, who has been keen to provide an efficient means of transporting his workforce from the city to his thriving cattle ranches. It was finally unveiled by Mayor Jeff Jefferson X, who tragically passed away from self-same day. I couldn't even read most of that. It was gone. Okay. We'll get the opportunity to later. Yeah, I don't benefit from observing these things. The benefit would be the social benefit would be from swallowing my pride and just engaging in the activity anyway, even though it makes me angry. Or I guess I could use the fact that I know that to somehow circumvent it, but it all seems very time-consuming. I could do the self-work to overlook the manipulative practices. It's much easier just to be against them altogether. Am I cynical for thinking that way? Possibly. It's hard to say. I've always been a little cynical. A little cynical on an individual basis, right? Like, I remember the first time I called someone out on the internet for being potentially manipulative was on Imager, and somebody had posted a video of like, oh, this guy saved a puppy from drowning in the river, which is good. Save puppies from drowning in the river. Okay, I'm not against that. Good on him. But just saying, it is awfully convenient that he managed to spot a puppy that was so difficult to see and hear in the rushing of the river, and simultaneously just so happened to have his phone readily available to record himself saving the puppy, which Why would you do that to begin with? Because my focus, hypothetically, imagining myself here, I would drop my phone to save the puppy. I would set it down. I wouldn't try to get a good angle first. I would just set the phone down and help the puppy. There would be no social media video to release and then become a hero off of. So it is strange to me that the video existed. And I brought this up because the video was obviously getting a lot of likes. And to me, encouraging those kinds of videos would be inviting people to, like, hey, endanger dogs and then rescue yourself saving them and make boatloads of cash. That's a good way to and people were upset by that thought. So cynical. It's like, hey, good on him if he actually saved the dog. Good on him if this is all just one big coinky-dink. But, I don't know, something's just weird about that, right? Statistically, it's improbable. And that's, I guess, where I kind of always am, and I'm the cynical guy. The guy who notices, like, wait a minute, are we sure about this? So it kind of shuts me up a lot of the time. I'll just keep things to myself, which is kind of why I like having this channel, because I can keep it to myself, or I can say it, or I can do whatever. I can do whatever I want. It's my channel. Helps me relax to be able to get all this stuff out of my head. Because normally I gotta shut up about it. And I gotta think, oh, am I being too cynical? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? Am I ostracizing myself from society by being too cynical all the time about everything? Or is it possible that I'm correct and I just have nowhere to talk about it because it upsets people? That's where I feel like I'm at a lot of the time. Also got that cable done, which is nice. Oh, this is going to be a long one. Granted, I did stop to do laundry, but I don't think it took me that long to get that laundry switched. So currently the recording is almost at 2 hours. We're only halfway done, so this is going to be 4 hours, which is kind of what I was anticipating, but I didn't want to think about. And in that way, the surface area has gotten the better of me. It is going to be about the same amount of time as the treehouse, which was very big. But I digress. We're almost through this tunnel. I wonder if we could just hurry up and get this piece right. Yeah, see that cleaned up. Slow down a little bit, get some of the more detailed. There we are. And the light's done. I think we got just the roof left. Even that was doing alright with this, just the short extension. I also realized that this channel has also been giving me some mental health benefits, like noticing that my room is a mess and needing to clean it, or wanting to clean it in the first place. I tend to let things go for quite a while, and like I noticed when I was sitting down to record today, I was like, man, this is kind of cluttered, it's messing up my headspace. I kind of like to clean it up, so I took some time and cleaned the area up before I started today, and I feel better. And it's interesting to me that this channel has facilitated that. Because it was just going to be like a little chill project I did, and hey, it's turning into something beneficial for me personally. And I'm starting to see that there is a niche for people who need like body doubling or whatever it is. Like they need to get things done, but they'd prefer somebody be there, and hey, this is a potential for offering something of that nature as well. Because while you're working on that stuff, I'll work away at this stuff, and you can always check back and see how much progress has been made in the meantime. So pretty neat idea to think about. Not that I would market it that way. Even though it's kind of, I mean, like 2 hours into a video, some random person's gonna find, "Ooh, that's a good idea." I don't think so. I think we're pretty safe on that. If someone's here at 2 hours, it means they want to be here. It means they're already finding something in this video they enjoy. So hey, if that's you, there's an idea. If you want something to do while you watch the video, because the video is meant to be chill and low-key, you can work on something too. You can get your laundry done while I get my laundry done. Okay, 45%. We just gotta do it again. We just gotta do it again. Question is where to start. Let's go ahead and start with the ceiling. I think we'll just get the ceiling and work our way across. Hopefully we should be able to get these long strokes without leaving too much behind. For that halfway point, did I cross it? Hard to say. Oh yeah, we definitely crossed it. We'll get it again. Just make sure we get that edge cleared up. That's probably about the halfway point. And we'll move over and we'll get that about the halfway. I'll probably make 2 passes on each one just to make sure we get it well. Somehow I got off at an angle, I can see it getting thicker. That's not ideal. See, it's tough to keep yourself perfectly straight while you're working on it. That's okay. We'll get to here. Kind of get these sections as we go, and it doesn't look quite so bad. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. Yep. That 5% just whizzed by. This tunnel ceiling half is coming along quite nicely compared to the other one, and this one was the one that had all the questionable parts. That's okay. We'll just finish it up then. Okay, we're officially 2 hours into the video. Well, maybe not, depending on how long it took me to switch my laundry over. I didn't fold it or anything, so we'll get to that after we get this thing done. About 50% of the way there now. Or we are 50% of the way there now, I guess. The appropriate way to say that. Now I think the next one we'll do is we'll go ahead and get the side. Maybe we'll get the tracks. Or maybe we'll get the side, I don't know. I'm indecisive. Ceiling was kind of big. Okay, ceiling's kind of big. We can get the floor, we can get this outside wall here. That kind of goes halfway across too, doesn't it? I think we'll get the floor. And then we'll get the wall. Because really, I really did enjoy cleaning this track area. We can kind of clean this as we go. Slowly make our way down to the other side of the platform. Let me get the top of the rail and come back down. Try to get the track as we go. And this will get one section of the little sides there. As you can see, there's some dirt left behind, but we'll get that on the pass as we're getting the top of the rail. Then we'll come back the other way and we'll kind of get both tracks. I think this might be a good way to go about it. These things are getting pretty clean. This is pretty good pace. 52%. Reached the halfway point. And perhaps some of the speed comes from going back and forth, right? These things that stretch all the way or across or halfway across or whatever. Getting them in one smooth pass may be quicker than stopping to get everything along the way. You never know. Okay, that's the washer I just heard finished. So we'll probably finish this section here, and then I'll go check and see what's going on. Trying to see if I hear the dryer going, but I don't think I do. I do want to see how good this track situation goes though, so I'm going to go ahead and work my way back across the tracks. The track looks like it's halfway done. Not really getting the floor very well, but yeah, we should be able to clean this one up. I'm no mathematician, but how many tracks are there? Does each subway only ride on one track? Hard to say. And of course I think the other half of this track is just going to be, or not the other half, but the last little section. Supposing it doesn't clean up as I approach the end here. I think it's just going to be a matter of getting this side just going to be it. If I were to go across like this, yep, it'll ding. Good. That's one track down. Kind of all the way. Oh, I could shift around. I could move a little quicker. And get this middle section done here. Gonna work on this half of the tracks as well. The tracks aren't too detailed, which I'm grateful for. Seems to be a bit of oil or something. Difficult to clean up. We can get that as we go. And of course, getting the track as we go. Yep, both sides of that trapezoid. And coming back to clean the floor. The floor's not going too bad at all. That's kind of my most dreaded part. It's proving to not be bad at all. I'm very pleased with how the floor is coming along. We'll go ahead and get this half. I'm trying to keep in the concept of these long sweeps being more time efficient than the short little focused crawling. I don't know for sure that's true. That's just what I'm attempting. It's just what I'm attempting. It's kind of interesting to look across and see that clean subway over there. Clean half of the subway tunnel. This is deceptively large. Can't go all the way back. Sticking to our process here. Tunnel floor is about halfway done. That's great news. That means we're about on target. Come over here and get this half of the railing. This half of the floor, since I have a reason to be looking this way. Get the floor and the railing. Nice and clean, nice and clean. And this oil's taking a few passes. Oil worse than rust? Could not be. Could not be true. We're across the midway point. Not quite. Okay. I was gonna say, do we have both floors about halfway clean? No. It is not the case. Whew. Almost to 60. It's quite good, quite good. There's the halfway mark. Stopping to get some of this stuff I noticed here. Tracks coming along nicely. Tunnel floor. About in a good spot. I wonder if people actually power wash this stuff. I mean, I suppose they have to, right? Oh, the oil is so tedious. A little bit on the floor there, but it's neither here nor there, I don't think. Mostly going for the track here. That seems to be pretty good. Kind of do that number and see. Just make sure we're in the clear. Tunnel floor's looking quite nice. What is this? That's also a track? Okay, there are 4 tracks. For some reason this one seemed like it was higher than the other 2 tracks, but I guess it's not. Which is good. That still raises the question, there's only 3 tracks? Maybe the subway takes up all 3 tracks. Maybe that's what I'm not considering. Did a good job with the oil texture though. Now they may want to check up on this thing before they go running it with all these oil stains from years past. The thing's been out of commission for a while and it was already leaking to begin with. Hopefully you've already sorted that out. Getting this side of the track, and we'll turn around and do the same for the other side of the track. Should in turn be doing our floors some pretty good favors as well. Let's go ahead and get that big chunk out of the way. Hopefully we can finish up the tracks and the floor around the same time. Have we reached the halfway point yet? Yes, we've passed it. Wasn't noticed. Or hasn't noticed. Or I haven't noticed. Oh my goodness. Okay, we got that oily bit cleaned up. Oh, another oily bit. Cleaning up in the with the green iron kind of helps you see how slow you have to go in order to get it cleaned right. You can see what it leaves behind in real time. Versus where it's kind of masked by the residual water. track's done. Good. Happy for the track. All this oil stuff is definitely probably why people were so glad to be rid of the track, because otherwise this thing's pretty good. The other one didn't seem to have nearly the same amount of oil spills. But that's okay. So now we've just got this last track over here to do. Get that section of floor as we go. Oh my goodness, all the oil. I imagine the turbo nozzle would get rid of it faster, but it's hard to aim that thing. Good grief. At least the tunnel floor is mostly done. At least the oil is kind of far and few in between. We don't have to deal with it too much. Just enough for it to be a mild nuisance at the moment. This track cleaning up. And we'll get to look at the subway tile as we clean as a little treat. But don't forget my laundry, which I'm stating again for my own memory. I feel like I've been spraying mostly non-stop with a few pauses. Stuff just ain't cleaning too good. Track's a little over halfway clean is a good sign for us. Tunnel floor is moving along quite nice. Oh, we're almost at the end here. I'm not getting the back sides of these. I'm not getting those things as good as I thought I was. I'll go back and do a little cleanup here and there. Goodness, I thought we had this all. I thought we had this taken care of, man. Oh well. Oh my gosh. It's just as bad on that side. So you can move along there pretty quickly. Get it while we go. So all we should have left then, aside from what I presume is oil right here, since it's taking such a long time to clean, is the back half of this track and the final section of the tunnel flooring, and we can rid our hands of it altogether. I think the walls will be nicer to clean anyhow. think we should get this cable as we go. Otherwise we kind of run the risk of doing another couple of passes. But I digress. Let's get down here and start. Let's get short. And I don't mean to get confused. I mean another section of the cable could come from the subway was reopened again following extensive repointing in 1923 by Mayor Jeff Jefferson the 11th. It closed again the following fall after the shocking revelation that Wilberforce Force Thrust had been using it to funnel train trucks full of stolen money out of town. Oh. The money was never recovered. Oh, so Thrust isn't such a great guy. It's unfortunate. Okay, we still got this second half of the train track I'm completely neglecting right now. Oopsie. Maybe it's just safer to do another pass. So I seem to be so distracted. Actually, if we can get the tunnel floor done, it would be preferred. Okay, that's done. Now we can go back and kind of get these tracks. After I get this floor, I need to do my laundry changeover. 60% of the way. Oh hey, I missed that whole section there, so it's good that I pressed tab when I did. We'll get this whole cable as we go back, doing our recheck. Should we get both sides? Both sides, both sides, both sides. And then this should be about halfway done by the time we get to the halfway point. Which looks to be the case. Nice. Railing's holding up pretty good. think we can take the extension off being as close as we are. Just keep the stubby gun on. Seems to be helping us rather fabulously with this close area. Giving us a little more AoE to work with. Tunnel floor is coming along nicely. Track is coming along nicely. Cable's looking like it's coming along nicely. We're doing quite well. The track's about to wrap itself up. We'll just finish it. Tunnel floor is about to wrap itself up. So let's go back and get the cable. Cable should be just about to wrap itself up. I believe it's a little bit trickier just because we haven't been paying it as much attention as the others. The floor is also larger, so we've been working on it a lot longer. But the cable should be getting there. It appears to be the case that it is. We'll ride this track as we can. Get the cable. That's pretty forgiving. Now we can get the tunnel floor without any qualms. It's just about done too. I think we can just quickly go over this. Yep, there it is. Okay, tunnel floor is done, and with that, I'm gonna go do my laundry. I'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry again for all of the interruptions. I'm gonna go ahead and put the short extension back on here. And though again for you, they're not really interruptions. And the good news is, we're at about 2.5 hours, along with the interruptions. 60% of the way done. So hopefully, we're not looking much more than 3 hours. Hopefully not 4 hours. And I think once we get this section done, and we get the big stretch of the platform over beside us, I think things will start moving along a little bit better. At least insofar as the big parts are going to be done. I think we're looking at about 65%, and then we essentially mirror what we've done on the other side. And all we have is the central part left. By then I think we'll be cooking with gas. I think what remains is relatively simple. The hardest part is done. We should be moving along at a pretty healthy clip. Not that I can really speak on the time. Not that I wish to continue speaking on the time, but there we have it. That's what's on my mind as I'm checking back in here. Tuning back into what was going on. Make sure we go back over here and get the cable. I want there to be any reason that messes up. But yeah, we're going pretty well. Okay. Keep noticing that I kind of recirculate around the same topics. So I guess maybe it's just because I don't have much going on. I don't get out and do much. The book signing was really the biggest thing that I've done probably in a couple of years, aside from the cruises, which, I mean, I could talk about the cruises, but that doesn't seem like the time. It's kind of been a while since they've gone on, so I guess December for my birthday. Feels like there's a big wide world out there and I'm not doing much with it. Maybe you don't need to do much with it. That's perfectly okay. But I feel like I'm a curious person. I think then that's part of the reason why I feel like I'm so good at uncovering cynical perspectives, because I get curious. And my curious questions are sometimes like, is this really what's happening, or is there an ulterior motive? Comes across cynical is actually, I think, just part of curiosity. Which, I mean, we could transition this topic into the personality types, which is like astrology for smart people, quote unquote. It's kind of like pop psychology at the moment. Some people will tell you there's more to it. Some people will tell you there's less to it. But whatever it is, there's some use to having, some use to these personality types. And if you're not familiar, I'm referring to the Myers-Briggs personality type, which will give you a four-letter makeup, essentially. Each of the 4 letters has like 2 possibilities, depending on your preferences for your personality type. And there is some more depth to it. So don't, like, if I'm telling you what these dichotomies are going to be, you don't have to go, oh, well, I know exactly what I am, because sometimes they surprise you. Sometimes your personality type might surprise you based on, they call them cognitive functions, and each type has like a stack of functions, and they all use all the functions, and the stack is pretty much predetermined based on one of these 16 personality types. But I digress. The four axes of these personality types are, the first one is introverted versus extroverted. And like, obviously the knee-jerk reaction is like, oh, I spend a lot of time at home, maybe I'm an introvert. That's not always the case. Okay, and again, we use all these all the functions everybody uses in different capacities, different variations. It's just a matter of preferences. So you may sound like one type, you may be another type. It's really, a lot of it's up to you. So, and knowing the type doesn't really help you necessarily, because there are a lot of stereotypes surrounding each type. But I digress. The first axis is introversion versus extroversion. The second axis is intuition versus sensing. The third axis is thinking versus feeling, that's another one that people will misinterpret. So intuition isn't like psychic, right? You're not ooh, I just intuit things. It's not the same type, like somebody who says they're an empath when they talk about their intuition. It wouldn't necessarily be the same thing. When we're talking about the personality types, the difference between intuition and sensing is, have I seen it before, or am I establishing it based on some part of my knowledge? Am I intuiting it? And then thinking versus feeling is similar in that people will jump to feeling. It's like, oh, I don't feel my emotions or whatever. And that's not necessarily indicative of feeling. When they talk about feelers, they're talking more about judgment calls. So the way I've heard it described is thinking is kind of like where thinking is true and false, feeling is like right and wrong. So your feelers definitely, like, they'll be more in tune with their emotions large scale, but it doesn't necessarily, like, thinkers can be in touch with their emotions, and feelers can be in touch with their ability to rationalize. But the difference is whether you prefer to think in terms of true and false, or right and wrong. And you can see that a lot in political climate, I'm sure. People, like, I hate to say it, but a lot of thinkers are probably, like, when you think about thinking is like facts don't care about your feelings type. Like, that's the edgy way to interpret it. And then feeling is obviously like my personal truth, right? Or truths, the truths of others. And we'll get into that. So my personality type, and I have tested it time and time again in all sorts of manners. I've even tried adjusting some of my answers to be more accurate, and across all the tests, and from what I've seen, I always test as an INTP, which is introverted, intuitive, thinking, perceiving. And that's kind of where I get my curiosity from, because one of the major functions, the second one is NE, which is extroverted intuition. And that's kind of, we can get into the talk of stacks, right? These cognitive functions, we prefer them in stacks, or we have like, the first way that I perceive the world is with introverted thinking, which is why my my 4-letter thing starts with an I instead of an E. The difference between an INTP and an ENTP, they use the same functions, but the preference is slightly different in that they are high extroverted intuition. So their first one is the NE, followed by the TI. That's really the only difference between those two. And we kind of got to discuss what that implies. So we kind of got to discuss what those things are, which is, I don't know, I think it's interesting, but you might just think it's rambling. So we'll talk about it. I'll try to simplify it without getting into too much of the nitty-gritty, because honestly, I don't know too much of the nitty-gritty. I'm one of those people that doesn't really take notes, so I usually don't remember how much that I remember. It just kind of comes to me as I'm speaking, it always impresses me. And but this isn't something that I've worked really deeply to understand at all levels. I understand INTP because that's me, and I'm kind of self-absorbed in that way, where I like look up all the stuff that has to do with INTPs and what that entails. So bear with me a little bit here. I'm not going to be able to I'm not going to be able to type you. I'm not going to be able to tell you much about your type. That's kind of where my limitations are. I kind of loosely understand what the functions are. There are people that can go into more depth than me, but I can explain them well enough for our purposes. I just want to get that out of the way so you don't think I'm some kind of like crazy good Myers-Briggs personality type guy. It's like a passing interest. Maybe a little bit more in depth than other people's passing interest, but to me it's a passing interest. But I digress. So part of where my curiosity comes from is the NE. The TI, that's kind of like how our primary function is sort of how so introverted thinking, let's put it this way, to describe the difference between like extroverted thinking and introverted thinking. Introverted thinking is when you rationalize based on your own understanding. And then extroverted thinking is kind of like sort of people who do their thinking based on the other people's findings, right? So extroverted thinking it's thinking turned outwards. So extroverted thinking, you're obviously the type of person that prefers sources, talks with experts in the field, you build upon the knowledge that's already there. Introverted thinking is, does it make sense to me based on my understanding? So they're like, I don't know that they're necessarily less likely to trust experts, but they're more willing to question the validity of external results than like extroverted thinkers. And then the second one in my stack, and that's also like where my internal world comes, right? Like the basis of my worldview is essentially like a very organized and structured logical system. So I'm very logical, is more or less. Now, whether or not I'm correct is totally different. Thinking is in terms of true or false, but introverted thinking it doesn't make me correct all the time. It just makes me logical based on my own internal system, which is not intrinsically correct. So keep that in mind. I'm not saying I'm right all the time. I'm not saying I'm the most logical being ever. I'm a human. I have fallacies. I just want to clarify. That's what it is. I have a strong internal logic system that I've meticulously crafted in my own way. I cannot explain to you how it's done specifically for me. I just know that that's how TI works. It's a logical system, and when it's your primary function, that's how you kind of structure your world. That's how it works. Vaguely, in the general sense of things. But the second function in the stack is extroverted intuition, which means I turn my intuition outwards. And when you think of intuition, like I said, it's not like just understanding things cosmically, like, oh, I have these insights into the nature of things. It's more like how you make sense of things, how you how you go about solving problems, I would say, how you come up with solutions to problems. Extroverted intuition is you turn things outwards, which is, I can't remember which way inductive or deductive reasoning goes, but I think it's inductive reasoning compared to deductive reasoning. It's going outwards instead of coming in. Like introverted intuition is taking all of these divergent ideas and coming to a conclusion based upon them. It's kind of going inwards, which is what you think of when you see Sherlock Holmes working. He's using his intuition inwards. He's taking like a little detail here, a little detail there, and he's coming to a conclusion. Whereas extroverted intuition is taking a detail and coming up with all sorts of different solutions to, or all different sorts of explanations, all different sorts of things. So it's kind of seen as a creative thing. So those two combined are kind of where I get my curiosity. And part of the problem is like I was saying, I'm trying to make sense of it first and foremost, but then the second part is also like, that's my question, is what am I making sense of? And then the second question is, what other things could this be? So it's like, okay, a dude saves a dog. That's great. Good for him. But also, what else could I be looking at? So that's kind of where it comes from, I think. And then if you're curious, the other two of the main four that I use are introverted sensing and extroverted feeling, which you would think, oh, he's got extroverted feeling, he's good at reading groups. No. The first two are kind of your engine, and then after that, it kind of goes downhill. So like a lot of some INTPs, like as they develop, it's the last one that you develop. So like that's why this personality type is kind of stereotyped as being like awkward or alien, or while they don't really fit in, not for a lack of trying, but it's because we have this like we're thinkers first, feelers second, or fourth rather. And then the feeling is kind of like it's like I'm just aware of it enough to know that I'm awkward, is the way that it was described. You're just kind of like you're aware of the group just enough to know that you're not quite just to know that you're not quite in your place. It's not quite for you. That sort of situation. So like extroverted feeling is being aware of the values of the group versus introverted feelings, which is being aware of your own values and all that sort of stuff. So the internal sensing is also like, it's one of my weaker areas. It's not the weakest. And it's kind of contributes to like this, like almost lazy, but it's more like laid back, I would say, because because obviously like sensing is pretty straightforward. It's through your senses, your five senses. Have you experienced it before? What did it feel like? What did it taste like? What did all that stuff? So extroverted sensing is, of course, all of that stuff turned outwards. You see a lot of people that do sports would probably be high in SE, extroverted sensing, because they get like their extroverted senses, all the movement related ones, I guess, balance, that sort of thing. And they're stereotyped to be the ones that are like partiers and experiencing drugs and whatnot. I guess it depends on the type of drug, because people who are high in extroverted intuition also, like, they tend to be like, they trend towards psychedelics. It's been described to me that like psychedelics impact your NE, or it's like NE, it's always NE and psychedelics are kind of similar, and I don't know how I'm not sure where I'm trying to go with this, but like I give the impression that I am on drugs sometimes, even when I'm not. And it's like there's some kind of mechanism with high NE that is reminiscent of being on psychedelics. Like the way you learn to problem solve on psychedelics. Like people always say, like, I'm saying like a lot, I sound like a valley girl. But they say when you're on psychedelics, you kind of like, your synapses learn to fire differently or something. You make new neural connections, things of that nature. That is similar to the process that people with extroverted intuition use, because they're forming those synapses by nature of their curiosity, essentially, by the way they problem solve. So that's interesting. But I digress. Where was I? Something about extroverted sensing and introverted sensing. So it's a little less clear to me what introverted sensing is, but I know that it contributes to, we like to be comfortable. We don't like to be uncomfortable. So we tend to be a little avoidant at times. We don't like to do the busy work sort of stuff because it's uncomfortable and it's boring and all that other stuff. So basically, if what you're getting here is, so INTPs are the stereotypical lazy nerd. That's pretty much it. Like, I was an underachiever at school. I tested really well, but I'm also really lazy. I don't like doing the freaking busy work. If I get good test scores, I feel like I shouldn't have to do the homework. It doesn't make sense to me that I have to do. And it's not that we're lazy. It's just that our work has to be aligned with what we're doing, which is why factory work is not really my cup of tea. I do enjoy the problem, like the environment I'm in is kind of it's more like production than it is. How do I put this? It's because I don't want to be too specific, but I also don't want to be too vague. It's production based, but there's a lot of like self-leading. Like, there are several departments in the plant, and the one that we're in requires like a little bit of autonomy. Like, I don't make the decisions that supervisors make regarding stuff, but as far as figuring out why my rates aren't doing what they're doing and how to problem solve that, I'm kind of left to my own devices. I kind of figure out the machine, like, not to the same degree as a maintenance guy, but I do have to figure out, like, mechanically how things work, what the process is. I have to think through things. So it's kind of like a puzzle sometimes, which I appreciate. That's also why I like puzzle games. It's just a natural inclination from my personality type to enjoy solving puzzles. And we are quite adept at doing that. If you can align the work with solving problems, dude, I'll probably be doing that at home, unpaid, for like indeterminate amounts of time. That's where we kind of are. I don't like redoing things that I've already done, which is terrible for a factory situation, because if something goes wrong and you got to shut it back down, you got to go back and do all the same work again. It was also bad for the what was I? Contractor work. Trying to fix things and then having to redo it, and then having to remeasuring, recutting, stuff of that nature. Wasn't really my cup of tea, but it does contribute to our type being less understood by other types, because it's like, oh, they're lazy, they don't want to do stuff. Well, yes, but it's usually like there are some lazy INTPs, right? But I don't think that I'm late. That's also something, like, I'll admit that I'm physically lazy. I don't want to get up. Like, at work, I don't want to get up and do things. I'll do my job, but I will be, like, to my coworkers, I'm not as, like, reserved as they are with regards to me saying, like, oh, this is bull crap, I don't want to do this. And they'll say, oh, he's lazy. But I'm also the type of person that's like, if I don't want to do this, I'm sure nobody else really wants to do this either. So, like, when the person comes in to relieve me, I make sure they're in the best possible spot as humanly possible. So in that way, I'm not lazy. And lazy, but not lazy. So it's dependent on the INTP and what they value and stuff of that nature. It has to, if you can't explain why you have to do it, that's one way that we'll be, like, if the explanation isn't sufficient, or if it's hypocritical, that'll piss us off. If I gotta do this thing, by golly, you had better be adhering to your own rules. And that's been a mess lately at work as well. I don't want to get stuck on work too much, but I do want to give an example. I do want to give some examples. So they're talking about, let's see. Maybe I won't give an example. It might give too much away. I don't want to get in any trouble. So we'll just skip over that. But yeah, when there's like a lot of mechanical issues at work, they don't tend to the machines very well. And then when they break down, we're left to pick up the pieces, right? Because the machine broke down, now the process is a mess. We're probably dumping stuff somewhere onto the ground and having to clean stuff out that we wouldn't have had to do otherwise. And I already hate doing the physical labor, so you already know I'm happy about that. But it's doubly frustrating when we're reporting mechanical issues all the time. We're telling them things are getting worse all the time, and they don't do anything about it. Nothing gets fixed. Nothing gets addressed. It just continues to run it till it breaks. That makes me angry because I have reported the problem as you have requested that I do. You've done nothing about the problem, and now I have to do additional work that I do not like to do. You know, it's just not a good time. So that's where the laziness gets in. I'm not lazy necessarily, but I don't like doing stuff that makes no sense. If it makes sense, I'm happy to do it. If I'm doing it for a reason, I'm happy to do it. Like if I'm working for somebody else, like in the contractor space, I liked doing a good job, even though I didn't like doing the work, because I liked being useful to the people who needed the work done, which motivated me to work hard. But if you're working for a multi-million-dollar company that never listens to you, then I start to feel a little lazy. Now, of course, again, I have my relief to think about. So that kind of balances out. I'm not happy in the workplace, but I'm not going to work any harder to make I'm not going to work any less and make my relief's life any harder. That's kind of the distinction. It's hard to explain, but there's usually a reason to why we do what we do. And I feel like a lot of people don't see that or comprehend that or get the gist of it, and that's fine. We have it a little bit better than INFPs, I think. A lot of INFPs don't like being INFPs. But the difference between an INFP and an INTP is their function stacks. A little difference. They're like an INTP, except their thinking and their feeling are reversed. So they've got their strongest one is their emotional landscape, which we've got a lot of overlap, right? So they've got FI first, FINESITE or something. Finesight. Finesight, I think, is theirs. So they can see really well. But yeah, they've got the same sort of thing that we have going on as far as SI being in the third, and they're kind of like misconstrued as being lazy, but really we're just kind of low key. I can't express it from an INFP's point of view, but it's similar to ours. Like if it doesn't make sense, and theirs is if it doesn't feel right. And obviously you get into a lot of existential stuff with that, right? Because it's your personal values, so you're going to be thinking a lot of your personal values. And that's where I do kind of overlap with INFPs, because I'm like, man, this is how I'm spending my life. You know what I mean? Is this really what I want to be doing at all times? Asking yourself that. It's kind of overwhelming. And I can get down with that. I can understand where that comes from, because I also struggle with that. But the primary source of mine is this doesn't make sense, and the primary source of theirs is it doesn't feel right. Something is off. So that's the interesting little things about the personality types and how they manifest. I can hypothesize based on types that are close to me, with slightly different structures. Like an ENTP, obviously they have the NE first, and their FE is a little more strong. It's closer to my SI, so however my SI feels for me, I'm sure their FE feels for them. But I'm kind of getting sidetracked. But yeah, that's where I generate. That's kind of where I alienate myself. I feel like, as my curiosity doesn't match with other people's curiosity. And I don't know how to That gets me into trouble a lot. Because one, it means I like to play devil's advocate. It means I like to play with ideas. Not to the extent that an ENTP will. It's funny that a lot of people think ENTPs, or they will type like Lucifer as an ENTP. So that's kind of funny. They're argumentative. They debate for fun. Debate is their love language. I do it because I'm curious. And I kind of have a similar thing to that, right? Because I also like to argue and debate and test ideas against one another and come up with silly things and explore. Explore the mental space is what I like to do. That's what they like to do. They like to do it a lot more than I do. And that's saying something, because I will go through a lot to make a point. And they will go one step further, I'm sure. But yeah, you kind of have, there are 8 functions, and they're different. Obviously, it's introverted and extroverted, and then it's thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuition. And you're wondering what the, oh, did I ever, P, thinking, or P and J, perceiving and judging, or whatever? I don't know. And then, like, if you really get into the stuff, they're like, you see it every time on the subreddit. People's first encounter with it is with it's with this website called 16 Personalities. Oh, if you post that in the MBTI, and you're like, oh, I got this type on 16 personalities, people will tell you, oh, that doesn't count. You gotta look up the functions, you gotta figure out the stack and all this stuff. So that's where I kind of learned it. But yeah, if you it's kind of like, basically what I've come to understand is you learn what the functions are, and you kind of figure out how they manifest in your life and what your preferences are, and then you kind of read the types. The best way to type yourself, allegedly, is this process, right? You learn about the functions, you kind of apply them to yourself, you figure out which ones are your strongest, and then you research the types, you look at their stacks, you say, oh, which stack sounds most like me, and then you kind of type yourself. That's what they say is the best way to do it. I don't know if that's true or not. My first test was 16 personalities. It said I was an INTP. But the thing is, right, that the 16 personality types, or the 16 types, or whatever the freaking name of that website is, they're actually like a blend, I think. It's like a blend of the 2 different personality tests, the MBTI, obviously, and then it's got like I think it's called the Big 5, and then they'll add like a 5th letter to it. And essentially the Big 5 is like your place on different scales, similar to MBTI, but not quite the same. So it's got like openness to experience versus, I don't know, the opposite. Whatever. Maybe it's not a dichotomy. Maybe it's just how open are you to experience versus, I don't know. I haven't looked too much into it. I know the openness to experience is one. I know neuroticism is one. How neurotic are you? And that's where they'll kind of add that 5th letter, which is, are you an INTP or an INTP-A, which is turbulent versus assertive, I think. I don't really remember. But they'll say, oh, that's actually not MBTI proper. You got to go through all this other stuff, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, okay. Okay, whatever. So if you're curious about that, that's how you would look into it. If you go on the Reddit, they'll yell at you for using 16 types. But it is kind of accessible. It's not completely incorrect. It's free. So if you're curious and you wanted to try it, there you go. Figure out what your type is. And there you have it. I also noticed that there's a lot of stereotypes going around with different types. And people say like, oh, intuitives are more appreciated than sensors, and thinkers are more appreciated than feelers. And then there's me, who's an intuitive and intuitive and a thinker, and I'm just like, I don't know why people like that so much. Everyone's stereotypical favorite types appear to be EST or ISTP, because they're the loner. They're like INTPs except cooler. It's funny to me, because like apparently the presentation is very similar. They're quiet weirdo loners, but ISTPs get to be the cool guy the Sigma male, essentially. The subway remained closed for another 30 years until community funding allowed for its renovation. Is that so? Do tell. It ran until 1984 when the main tunnel's extensive repointing finally failed, thankfully, in the dead of night. But yeah, ISTPs are kind of seen as the Sigma. They're called the Virtuoso. They're good with their hands, good with mechanics. Mechanics are generally ISTPs. So in fiction, a lot of people will say that the bad boy loner is an ISTP, like the guy that works on his motorcycles. That kind of fantasy aspect of it. He's the guy that works on his motorcycle, smokes cigarettes, wears a leather jacket, keeps to himself. That's the ISTP for you. He gets stuff done. And I'm sure there's some truth to that. I wouldn't know. I'm not an ISTP. I kind of get that. INTPs, they have been seeing quite a bit of a boon here lately in terms of fiction. INTPs are kind of frowned upon in, like, Korea. The 16 personality types are kind of big. And if you're an INTP, it's like a step away from being an INFP, and everyone, for some reason, INFPs get the short end of the stick. It's not their fault. I don't think there's anything wrong with INFPs, but they're seen as kind of like the dreamer, head in the clouds. They feel like they don't really belong because they live in, like, they have an idealized version of reality in their heads, and it's not in real life, so they always feel like sad and out of place. That's the stereotype of an INFP, I think. And we are seen one step above that. As far as I know, it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, you're an INTP? Oh, sorry, buddy. It's been described as kind of like a glass cannon build where, like, I think Albert Einstein is considered an INTP, so, like, that's the version of INTP that everyone wants to be, right? Oh, I'm like Albert Einstein, but there's just the underachiever video game crowd that doesn't really do anything with their INTP abilities. So that's their big stereotype, is they're lazy underachievers. Yeah. Oh, where was I going with that? Oh yeah. We're often called the world's warmest robot. We're the world's warmest robot. We're the scatterbrain professors, which explains the tangents. It's difficult for us to, because our FE is so low. Interestingly, this came up in conversation with my counselor, and it's because INTPs are kind of weaker on the FE, that we tend to either overestimate our audience or underestimate our audience with what they know, or not audience, but peers, people we're speaking to, people we're speaking with, about various topics. And I find this is true in the workplace as well. Like, I'll assume that people notice the same things I notice and they just haven't said anything, so I don't say anything. Or, like, I make all sorts of crazy assumptions because I'm overestimating or underestimating what other people, how they perceive the world, because my FE is low. And this tends to happen in conversations as well, where he'll ask me a question and I'll think about it and I'll come up with, like, oh, well, I'm not really aware of this, or I don't really know, or I'll give some vague answer. And it's because of our NE combined with our weak FE causes us to daisy chain and not really fill people in on the entirety of the thought process. Because then he's like, well, what went on your head? You were quiet for a long time. Well, what went on in your head when you were thinking about this question? I was like, well, there was a lot of situations. It was really dependent on a bunch of different blah, 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 blah. And he was like, oh, so you were actually thinking, or you actually had a lot to say about it, and you ended up saying nothing. And I was like, well, is that really relevant? You asked me a question. I wanted to provide the best answer. All this other stuff seemed kind of secondary. But apparently that's what he was looking for. I don't know. And there'll be a lot of situations I noticed in recordings where I'll start a thought, and then I'll either get distracted and not finish it or whatever. I'll have had, like, the entirety of the thought was in my head, but for some reason it just doesn't make it out. And I leave people to fill in the blanks a lot. So that's just an interesting little quirk. Oh. Oh yeah, I was going to say that in anime we've recently seen a resurgent. Usually when you think of an INTP, like the type that you'll get in fiction, at least in terms of anime, sometimes you'll get Sherlock Holmes, but Sherlock Holmes I would say is probably more of an INTJ just because of the deductive reasoning thing, but I don't know. He seems to know what pieces to look for in a most efficient manner, whereas INTPs are kind of meandering, and I don't think he meanders too much. But that's beside the point. Normally, like when you think of anime INTPs, what you'll get is L from Death Note, which, don't get me wrong, L is pretty cool, but I don't know that I don't want to be associated with L. He's kind of a like a dubious guy in general. And two, he's a little freak. For lack of a better word, he's just a little bit of a freak. And I mean, fair enough. I guess I am kind of a little freak, but you know, I'd like for someone else to aspire to be other than L from Death Note. But here recently we've had like Freerin is considered an INTP, which is pretty neat, and I relate to her a lot. Like the whole not really understanding other people, the losing track of time, like not thinking anything of spending inordinate amount of times doing things when people are like, hey, you know, we're gonna die one day, right? We can't spend months doing this little project. We're just little humans. Not keeping up with people, that's a problem I've got. So it's interesting to see, and she's like super cool too, which is another thing it's nice to see that she has flaws, sure, but she's also capable of doing some pretty cool stuff with the eclectic things that she's managed over the years. And I like that she's a mage that she enjoys collecting a bunch of silly little spells because she wants to learn all the magic or whatever it was. I don't remember the exact stuff, but it's like a lot of her character is relatable to me, even though like it's not one-to-one, obviously. Not every INTP is the same, but it's interesting to see that her problems kind of mirror my own problems, my own struggles. That's interesting. We also, another one that gave me a big ego boost was for to be Hero X. Hero X is an INTP, so that was, and he's kind of like the reality shifter. He sees through the games. He's like, you're aware that this is all a game, right? Like, even you're a part of it and all this other stuff. And he has perspectives that no one else has. And he's kind of like, he's a good guy, but he's also kind of like lazy. He doesn't like working overtime. Hey, neither do I, buddy. You got me there. So that's kind of neat. Kind of neat to see more INTPs being shown the limelight. I feel like there's a third one, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, Mau Mau from Apothecary Diaries is an INTP. I don't know, I haven't seen much of that, so I can't really speak to it. I have seen some of it though, which there are things that I kind of relate to, like she's interested in poisons, that's kind of her thing, so she poisons herself. And interestingly enough, I have a similar approach to other things. She's like, the best way to collect data is to do it to yourself. Well, fair enough. I don't know that I would do that with poisons, but hey. If I were curious enough about something, I might be tempted. But yeah, we're the scatterbrain professor. We work with a lot of ideas. We like to be in our own heads a lot. And we don't fit into society at large. Kind of like quiet rebels in that way. But anyway, I feel like that's enough about INTPs. I feel like I've been going on about that for quite a while. There are like 15 other types out there we could talk about. I don't know much about them. Like I said, another one's close to me, which are like usually a letter away, like INTJs. That's your Batman. That's your detectives. Batman, Sherlock Holmes. And that's because they have NI, which is something that I don't have. And then curious, okay, so the ones that everyone likes, I think I was going on about. So the stereotype of ISTP is like us, but more, or better. And then you've got your INTJs are the ones that everyone wants to be. They are so freaking, like, the stereotype. Everyone wants to be the INTJ stereotype, which is dark, brooding, thoughtful, super smart, grandmaster chess guy. Which is, I mean, I don't mean to, like, rag on INTJs or anything. They're super cool. Just like everyone else has the capacity to be super cool regardless of their type. But, like, they get the edgelords, man. They get the people that are like, I'm smarter than everyone else. Which I had a little bit of that when I was younger. But I feel like mine's like an inferiority complex wrapped up in a superiority complex that I'm aware of. And I don't want to make it my thing. So I kind of keep it to myself. And that's also kind of where, like, the underestimating or overestimating comes. It's like, it's a game I play, like, you know, do I know more than them? Or do I just think I know more than them because I've got a little bit of an ego to me? Or what's the deal here? We're very introverted, so we're likely to have a little bit of an ego. Even if it's not a malicious ego, it's just there. So that's what I deal with a lot. But these people, like, that's their whole thing, is they think they're smarter than everybody. I remember there was one guy that was, like, talking about how the world would be better if everybody were an INTJ or something like that. And it's like, brother, what are you talking about? They're like the ISTP lone wolf, but they think they're some kind of geniuses. And now, granted, it's true that IQ tends to track with intuitive types because they are intuitive types and they think about things like that naturally. That's how their brain is wired. It's wired for pattern recognition and curiosity and all of that stuff. So naturally, like, you're going to recognize patterns and have a higher IQ, but that doesn't, like, look at me, man. I work at a factory. I like to think I'm pretty smart, but I work at a factory just the same as everybody else. I'm not out there making millions of dollars or revolutionizing the world, right? That people that do that aren't always INTPs or ENTPs or INTJs or whatever the other, like, it blows my mind that people have such a big ego of their personality types. Like, where my ego comes from isn't the personality type, it's just my experiences. Like, I score top of the class, I didn't have to try very hard, so, like, naturally I just get things a little bit easier. So at what point is that me assuming that I'm just going to get it more easily than everybody else? And at what point is that me not giving people credit for themselves? That's where mine comes from. Other people are like, I'm an INTJ, and that makes me better than you. That's the kind of distinction I'm trying to draw here, is even though intelligence may, there may be some correlation in intelligence and intuitive types, it's not necessarily indicative of anything. That just means I like puzzle games now. I'm not Albert Einstein, I just like puzzle games. And that kind of sucks. It kind of sucks when that's your personality type, is, hey bud, you got any puzzles? You got games on your phone? You got any puzzle games on your phone? You're a 30-year-old man. Yeah. You got any puzzle games on your phone though? I forgot where I was going with this, I'll be honest. But yeah, everyone wants to be an INTJ or an INFJ. And the interesting thing with INFJs are they are also very logical and smart. But they're also very good with their feelings. They're also very good at, like, connecting with people on an emotional way, in an emotional way. So, like, the two figures that everyone cites as being an INFJ are, interestingly enough, Jesus Christ and Adolf Hitler. Two wildly different people, but also very influential, which is where people get they kind of get this, like, it's kind of bad when you put the other guy on there, but they're like, they got the NI, which is, so they're very future oriented people, the INTJs and INFJs, because they're NI. They can see where things are going. They can they can extrapolate where things are going based on disparate information. Kind of like lasers converging onto a point. And, like, it gives them this sort of mystical application where it's like, oh, they must be able to prognosticate. They must be able to see the future. So both of them kind of get like that long-sided. That's the one advantage that INTJs have over INTPs, for example, is since they're so long-sided versus our like scatterbrain nature, they can plan for the future. They're more efficient at getting things done. They find the best solution to suit their needs, whereas we like to entertain all ideas, that sort of thing. But then INFJs are considered super smart and influential and all this other stuff. I don't know if Mother Teresa was one, but those are the kind of figures you get as people who are very I don't know if they're like visionaries, right? And I don't think it's necessarily like religious or spiritual, but they're very in tune with people. I'm trying to think of some other examples in fiction, but all I've got is like I think Izuku Midoriya. He's an INFJ, maybe, if I'm remembering correctly. And then that guy from Promised Neverland, the white-haired one, Norman. He was an INFJ. It's people who think differently, but also are super smart. And they're not thinkers, they're feelers. It's based on their sense of justice. So they tend towards these people with not delusions of grandeur, but like when people conceptualize an INFJ, they're usually people who have that grandeur to them. There's something about them. They're able to predict the future. They're able to see people for what they truly are. You can't hide from them. They tend to have all sorts of crazy stuff. That's another one that it's also the rarest type. INTJ and INFJ are both like super rare types, so everyone wants to be the rare one. All that sort of fun stuff. So that's interesting. That's all interesting. And I don't know much about the other types. I know INTJ because it's close to INTP. I know INFP because that's close to INTP. I know ISTP because that's close to INTP. And I know ENTP because that's close to INTP. But if you get too close to, if you go in the other routes, I don't know. INFJ I know just because it's tangential to INTJ. And I've kind of explored all the avenues where I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'm just an INTJ. What are the difference between those? Oh, nope. Probably not an INTJ. I don't have that long, that long vision and ability to act on it, so I can't be an INTJ. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I'm an INFP. Nope, I don't really know much about I don't focus on my internal feeling system enough to be an INFP, so probably not that. What about an ISTP? Nope, not good with my hands. Terrible mechanic. Which isn't to say that all ISTPs are going to be great mechanics or anything, but it's just interesting that's what they're known for, and I am patently terrible about it. Probably not that. And then ENTP obviously is like, I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm just a depressed ENTP, but then I remember that I don't, like the stereotype is they love debating. And I don't know that I love debating that much. Because there usually comes a point to have a debate where I'm like, okay, this person is making a bunch of logical fallacies. They're not in it to uncover the truth or in it to be right, or whatever the situation is. Where I just get bored. I'm like, I don't really care about this debate as much as you do. I just want to stop. I was over this debate like 20 minutes ago and it's still going. So that leads me to believe that I'm probably not an ENTP. I'm also heavily introverted. But then again, like I was saying, that's kind of misleading because ENFP, which is only one letter away from ENTP, is considered one of the most introverted of the extroverts. A lot of ENFPs will think they're INFPs, and then if you really do some digging, it's not necessarily the case, because really the difference between introversion and extroversion in a traditional sense is just where do you get your energy from? Are you like, do you prefer to be alone or do you prefer to be in groups? And it's, oh, well, I need some alone time. Yeah, but what do you prefer? Like this one guy I know, he was like, I'm an INFP. I was like, oh, that's cool. But then I noticed that he like always has to be around somebody, and he gets like bored and depressed if he doesn't have someone to interact with at all times. And I'm like, dude, there's no way. He's like, oh, well, I like my alone time. But then every time he got alone time, he'd be like, oh, there's no one to talk to. I'm so bored, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, hello? So sure enough, I linked him to another test that isn't one of the 16 personality tests. And it's kind of like kind of lets you answer in more nuanced ways, like pick your top 2 answers versus just pick one. And then it calculates your score based on that. And they're kind of more applicable questions. They're not just vague. They kind of give like scenarios. So that helps out. And sure enough, he got ENFP. And I was like, I don't know how you were so confused by that. There's no way you're an introvert. There's no way you're an introvert. And like, of course, he's going to relate to INFP memes and stuff like that we send each other back and forth. But you very clearly need other people to energize yourself. It's not to say that you can't be extroverted and you're like, oh, I'm extroverted, but I like to stay at home and read books. Cool. You can do that as an extrovert. Oh, I'm an omnivert or an ambivert or whatever it is people say. You're not, though. You might be very close to one or the other, but the odds of you being split exactly 50-50 are pretty against you, considering how infinitely nuanced numbers go. And I get it. That means you like to stay at home, and that means you like to go out sometimes. But I don't know. Something always irks me when people say, oh, I'm an ambivert. No, you have a preference for one or the other, man. I'm sure of it. I'm almost 100% sure you do. You're not going to be the one that cracks the code, but it's like saying, oh, I think as much as I feel. Do you? Are you sure? Like, are we even in a place where we can accurately say that? I don't know. That's pretty wild. That's a pretty wild statement to make. That you think 50% of the time you're a thinker and 50% of the time you're a feeler. That's pretty wild. Now, of course, there are situations like one of the questions you usually get are like, oh, the single mother is underperforming at your job. What are you going to do? Are you going to fire? And it's like, I get it. It's a thinker versus feeling question. And the thinker would say, quote unquote, a thinker would say, well, if they're bad for the business, then I shouldn't keep them on just because they're a single mother who's trying to make ends meet. They're cold and callous and all that stuff. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make a decision purely based off a cold calculating rationale. And that's sometimes why I thought like, oh, well, maybe I'm a feeler instead, but that's not necessarily the case. I always tested INTP, no matter how feelery I thought the questions got. It always came back to INTP. And I didn't lie. I didn't say like, oh, I would fire them 100%. I'd let them go. I kind of gave like one of the middling answers, which was like, well, that wasn't for that test. That was like a agree to disagree sort of thing. 5 options, the middle one being completely neutral, and I would be like slight disagree. Like I agree that I would fire them, and I would say like I slightly disagree or something like that, and they would always pick me out. They'd be like, oh, no, you're an INTP. Oh, so that's interesting. That some of the questions are kind of, on some tests you can kind of guide yourself to the answer you'd like. That was another thing I wondered. I was like, do I actually believe these things, or am I just thinking that I'd like to be an INTP? So I try to like be brutally honest. I would sit there and think, like, do I actually value this over that? Is this true? And they say that one of the traits of an INTP when they take these tests is immediately questioning whether or not the results are accurate or true or whatever. Sure enough, that's what I was doing. That's something I can't believe I've talked about for so long. My voice is actually going hoarse. That's pretty wild. Almost at 90%. I'm quite excited that we're getting so far along here because what a doozy of a level. I really underestimated how long this thing was going to take. I don't think it's taken as long as I thought it was going to take, which was like upwards of 6 hours. But hey. And we're not even at 3 hours yet. Well, we are. We're at 3.5 hours, but we're not at 4 hours yet. And also we have to cut out the laundry bits. So we should be cruising right along here, I think. I hope. I don't know why I didn't get that arc there, but I guess I'll get it while I'm here. This place really did clean up nicely. It's very pretty. It reminds me of the inside of a grocery store, which is odd because there are no shelves or groceries, but hey. Something about the lighting and the blue and the tile. I don't know. But I also think that's kind of why I am drawn to content creation, because people do think, like the people that I'm close to that get me, generally do praise my inventiveness or my my offbeat sense of humor or whatever. So there are some benefits that come from it. It's just not necessarily useful. Oh, another way we were described as like a glass cannon build, like wizards. Like all our points are dumped into intellect, and then what? What have we got? And intellect doesn't even help us most of the time. And this isn't me tooting my own horn like, oh, I'm so smart. No, this is me saying, like, okay, I'm smart, now what? What am I supposed to do with this? I can't direct it. I don't get to decide what I focus on or what I'm smart about. I just... I don't get to be a marine biologist. I get to work at a factory. Why? Because I wasn't curious about plants and animals. I was curious about how big a number I could get on Cookie Clicker. Someone help me. That's just funny to me. It's a glass cannon build. The ones who are successful get to be super successful, but the ones who aren't can kind of struggle. I guess that the definition of success depends on from person to person, so there's also that to consider. But yeah, there's just a lot of interesting little quirks, little quirky things about each personality type. I do feel bad for the INFPs though. They get a lot of crap thrown on them. Oh, they're so sensitive, that sort of thing. Sensitive little dreamers that can't handle the real world, bro. That ain't just an INFP thing. I think that's just an IN thing. Anyone who's in their head a lot is going to suffer from that, because they don't really get the socialization thing. Not to say either INTPs or INFPs are incapable of socialization. There are like INTPs online that are like, yeah, I like to work out. And I'm like, that would be a great rabbit hole to have gotten myself into. Oh man, I'm just into working out. There are INTPs that are like, oh, my area of interest is, what's it called? Oh, the stock market. And I'm just really good at making money. Oh, that's neat. What happened to me? What did I get? Why am I so weird? And then of course you get INTPs that are I don't know if they're actually INTPs, right? These are like anecdotes from people who say, oh, my uncle is this or my aunt is that or whatever. Which maybe they're accurate, maybe they're not. I can't speak to somebody else's ability to interpret other people's personalities. You know what I mean? But they'll say like one example of an unhealthy INTP, or who use the traits of an INTP in less than ideal ways, which I'm sure I do, and that's probably why I'm not successful. But the general idea was like they're the ones who do their own research, quote unquote. And that's fair. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I look into both sides of an issue and then come to my own conclusions. But I'm definitely not gonna say, oh, I've done my own research and my ideas are better than everybody else's. I'm not an expert, I don't have a degree. I kind of just keep it to myself most of the time. I don't know about that. Oh, what do you think of this? I don't know about that. Oh, that's another historical INTP. Socrates. And I tell you, yeah, I know that I know nothing thing. That's INTP for sure. Online they say there's like one of the Reddit posts was talking about what would the mottos of the different types be? Which is, they do fun little things like that. That's where I think it's the most fun. We're experimenting with the stereotypes. Because really, what else do you have left? Not everyone's going to be like every way. So like, at the end of the day, if you're talking personality types, what you're going to have to boil it down to in order to keep the topic interesting is stereotypes. Because no two INTPs are the same. And then you're like, oh, well, this is so INTP. Oh, not all INTPs. And then okay, well, great. Now what have we discussed? Absolutely nothing. The stereotypes are part of the fun. You got to learn to embrace them, but not live by them. That's how I would define it. But anyway, they were talking about what would the hypothetical motto of all these different types be, and INTPs was, it depends. I'll be damned if that's not true. You want to talk about something else I don't relate to people on, it's like, oh, do you have a favorite open-ended questions? Generally, like, even for fun, I take those way too seriously. Somebody said, oh, in a fantasy environment, like, what would your weapon of choice be? Well, it depends. And it does depend. What sort of environment what is the most efficient weapon to be in this environment? Like, okay, I chose I want to be a wizard in this fantasy environment, but it turns out there are a lot of archers, and they can shoot you from a long range, and your magic is pretty much useless. That's the worst. Like, I don't know, what kind of creatures are there? Are they resistant to magic? Like, I need to know certain details about the world before I can make my decision. Oh, well, just say, can't you just say one? No, I have to know. These are important. I can't just commit. And I think that has its place, right? That's very funny in certain situations. Like, oh, you're playing a Super Fight. Let's say a game like Super Fight, which I've always wanted to play but never got the chance to. And it's essentially you draw cards, kind of like Cards Against Humanity, and you get powers and people, and they kind of get stuck together. Like, oh, Abraham Lincoln with a mechanical arm, and he has eye lasers or something. And then somebody else puts their cards down, and you kind of have like a friendly little debate on who would win. And then there's a judge, and he has to judge the arguments on which one's better or funnier or whatever the thing is. And that's where I feel like these would have. That's where I feel like when making a case for something, I feel like these superpowers that I have would come in handy. But that's not really applicable in a lot of situations. Like, I can explore concepts fairly easily. I feel like, again, that helps in situations like the video game. If I ever get to the point where I'm speaking comfortably and not like forcing myself to talk, which is what I'm trying to work on. We're just picking a topic and going with it. But like the dude with the plane, I had questions. What's the situation here? What's the situation there? Is this like, okay, it could reach 3 million degrees. How are you cooling this thing? Why are the wires on the outside? Like, I can ask questions. I can explore implications. Like, it reaches 3 million degrees. How does it not melt itself? And it helps to come up with humorous things. Like, someone gives you a situation. I can riff with people pretty good. I don't know if one-up them is the right turn of phrase, but it's sort of like that, where they'll make a joke and then they'll make a edgy or risque joke, and then I'll one-up them with an even risque or I play along with. Like, that's one thing where, like, when people joke with you, it's helpful if you can roll with the punches, which I feel like INTPs usually could, just because of, like, what I'm talking about, this riffing situation. They're able to daisy chain. And that's helpful in that regard. But the problem is, like, getting people who are in this situation. Like, there's the dude I work with. Cool dude. He was like he was in MMA fighting locally, or I don't know how professionally it was. He works where I work, so he wasn't like a Conor McGregor, at least not yet. And we get along fairly well. I think he's an ISTP, but he thinks he's an ENFP. And I can't really, like, usually when you think of an ENFP, the stereotype is they're like a golden retriever, like very sociable and stuff. And granted, I only know him at work, so like he gives the impression of someone who he doesn't have time to. He does not come off as an intuitive, right? Because when I think ENFP, first of all, it's high NE, which is like, it's just like the situation with me and INFPs, except for an ENTP. So the first thing is still going to be NE, which means you would think you would have some degree of like hypothetical situations, or some degree of like this. I acknowledge that this doesn't make sense, but it's entertaining to explore. But he doesn't have that, like, at all. If I joke with him too much in a certain direction, he becomes annoyed or bored. Like, this has no application in my life, so why do I care about that? That just baffles me, because he's supposed to be an ENFP according to his test results. But I digress. That's what if you don't have someone who can joke with you in that way, then it's not really a useful skill. You kind of have to know someone else who can riff in that way, who can come up with, who can one-up you, and then you can one-up them, and that's how you build ideas. That's how you build ideas together, and that's part of the fun of having NE, I think. Or I assume that's part of NE. But, yeah, that's... like, I feel like that's a strength in certain circumstances, but circumstances are very far and few in between in the wild, unless you find your crew. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is the guy that I worked with as a contractor, he was pretty cool. He was like an older dude. I say old, he was like an old man, old dude. You know what I mean? Probably isn't going to be doing what he does too much longer. He's probably getting closer to, I think he's to the point where he has to draw from his retirement. And he's still working, but he could quit at any time, sort of situation. Oh. Interrupt my game cleaner. But yeah, we didn't always... He gave me a newfound respect for sensing types, just because like that was when I was getting into it, and I realized that we had these differences, and I was like, oh, so here's where sensing comes in handy that my intuition doesn't. Like, his S is better than my N in this situation. But there were also situations where I feel like my N helped out, because he would propose something, and then I would ask questions, and then we would come up with a better way of doing it. And that's kind of a thing that isn't very much appreciated. So I appreciated his appreciation of my abilities, and I appreciated his abilities as a sensor, which I would have probably never considered, or one, I didn't have the history, so, you know, it's just, he had all these things, he had accumulated a lot of his success based on being a sensor, being able to rely on his senses to tell him things, and I felt like that was really neat that we had a good working relationship together, and I felt valued in the work that I did, which is a far cry from what I get now, but oh my god, the pay. Sometimes we need the pay. That was really the only reason I think I didn't stick with him. That, and it was kind of gearing up towards tile textures off. That, and it was kind of gearing towards like he was gonna give me his customer book when he retired, and I was gonna like sort of take over more or less. Even though I would have been my own business, I just would have inherited his customers. And I realized that I'm not really good at business. I don't think I'm a business guy. Because I had trouble keeping track of my receipts, and then, oh my gosh, if I had to keep track of all those jobs, oh wow. And then I didn't have health insurance or anything through him, so I had to do my own taxes. It just was not a good mix. Not necessarily do my own taxes, but I had to keep track of a lot of stuff. Expenses, keeping my receipts. I just don't know that I had it in me. Keeping track of all these different jobs that I was doing, man. Showing up at the right time. All these different plans, having to call people if one job took longer. I could not have done it. But I digress. So it was interesting to see our abilities working together to create things and fix things and all this other stuff. That was nice. And I don't think he respected, or I don't think he appreciated it so much at first, but then he started to kind of like ask me, like, oh, hey, what do you see? And that felt good. It was nice to be recognized for my point of view, even though it wasn't always what we went with. It was just like, hey, fresh pair of eyes on this. What do you think? There were times it frustrated me. Like we were building a deck for this guy, and he had diagonal slats, but they weren't at a perfect 45-degree angle. I'm not sure what angle they were at. I don't remember, but he had this method that he used, which was measuring and remeasuring and trial and error, essentially. And we were lugging these planks around, and I was like, we took a break to go get some supplies or something. We ended up at Home Depot for whatever reason. And I saw that they had this device that measured angles, and it was like a digital display. All you had to do was turn it on. It would tell you what the angle was when you... It was like a T-slider. When you made the angle with the device, it would tell you what the angle was. I was like, hey, we could use this to find the angle of the board, and then we could cut that on the machine, because the machine saw had on the table all the different angles on display there. So I didn't really understand, and he wouldn't do it, which was like the sensing side of things. Is like, I'm not familiar with that, so I'm not going to touch it. That's new. That's new information, and my system has worked all this time, so I'm not going to evolve now. That's sort of where our differences didn't work so well together. Sometimes trying a new thing did work out, but it took a while to persuade him to do that. Especially, I guess, for me, because that was towards the I don't know if that was towards the beginning or toward the middle or whatever, but I don't think I had earned my wings yet, so maybe he was a little hesitant to trust. Yeah, I don't know why sensors don't deserve the lack of attention. They're really competent people compared to intuitives sometimes. Not to say that intuitives aren't competent, just they're competent in ways that I could never dream of being competent, you know? Sports people are usually, not always, but usually sensors. Laborers are usually sensors. There are a lot of sensors in the factory. And I am learning that I feel that. I can feel that in a negative way. Oh my gosh, he said something today, or not today, but he said something recently, which was like, oh, we're learning that some of the changes we've made in the last 20 years actually were for things, and they're not just annoying. And I'm like, no shit, dude, what are you talking about? You've been... And this, like, he has been like this since he took over the department, right? Like, there's a pH probe that was out, and people were refusing to run the dryer because it was out. The pH probe was not working, which means that we had no way of monitoring the product. And what his solution was like, what do we do 50 years ago or whatever, however long? And it was like, well, that's not an applicable solution. We can't just do what we did 50 years ago, because clearly we implemented the thing, right? Like, there's a reason we do it this way now and not the way we did it 50 years ago. Oh. And then another thing he did was the blizzard. We had this blizzard last February. Whole state was shut down. State of emergency. All the emergency services were like, do not go. Interstate was shut down. They were saying, do not get on the roads, because you're not only putting your lives at risk at this point, you're putting the emergency services people at lives at risk too. Like, we can't even know for sure that we're going to be able to get to you if you decide to go out. So do not go out at any cost. Which, okay, normally the plant does not shut down for blizzards. Understood. This was like abnormally bad. I heard that it was like the worst one since whenever, some crazy amount of time ago. Last time they had it that bad. But the plant stayed open. And I complained about it through our safety services or whatever, and they decided they were going to have a talk with me, and there was all kinds of stress there. But beside the point, when I was pulled into the office, what he was saying was things like, well, historically we've never shut down for a blizzard, and I think this was eye-opening. And going back to me, reflecting on this situation, I am disgusted by this point of view, that it was eye-opening that driving into a blizzard is unsafe, because not only is that kind of obviously unsafe, like all the roads are freaking blocked up with ice and snow, but the state has shut down. The state has shut everything down. They said, do not go out. They were saying this, and like, I don't understand. Oh, well, in the past we haven't. Safety is a forward-facing thing, bro. Back before we found out, oh, people falling hurt them real bad, and they fall and hurt themselves, we didn't have fall arrest systems. So if that failed, we wouldn't say, oh, what did we do 20 years ago, and continue to work without the fall arrest system. We would fix the fall arrest system. We would evolve. That's one area that I don't... I don't know if that's a censor thing specifically, but that has helped me see that he is a censor. He does not work with abstract concepts very well. And of course, some censors are going to be better than others at that, but I think he is like... Where my IE axis was like 100% I, or 99% I, 0 or 1% E. I think that's his situation with censor. He has like zero intuition whatsoever. This dude is just not. He's just not a good person to have in charge, I don't think. Because it's beyond me. I don't see how. I just don't get it. I'm baffled. Oh, I think we've thoroughly explored what we can explore now of the Myers-Briggs personality test. Be interested to learn what your guys' are if you decide to take it or whatever. And again, I don't mean to disrespect censors. I don't mean to by associating you with that guy. Like I said, the censor that I worked for, highly competent person, very good at running his business. Had good sensibilities to him. He did what was right. There were a couple of sticking points I had with him, but that's no different than any other sticking points you'd have with anybody else. So I don't have some kind of vendetta against censors. It's just this one in particular. But otherwise, a lot of censors in... A lot of very successful censors in... like actors and stuff. A lot of those are censors. Singers. People that have to use their bodies physically. It's like a main source of their job. That's where a lot of censors are. So you might get some like intuitive actors because that's partly a psychological thing. That's partly an abstract exploration, but it's also partly physical. What does it feel like? Like, okay, this guy is angry and vindictive. What does that feel like in my body? How do I present that physically? That's kind of like a censor way of thinking. Whereas an intuitor might be able to think in that way as well, but it might be more imaginary, which is kind of like, sometimes I wonder if I'm a sociopath sort of situation, because it's like I have trouble feeling my feelings. And that's because... Okay, so FE is my weakest strong trait, but then if you continue to the full stack, which is all 8 of your functions, it's going to continue with the opposite of your current functions. So, like TI is my first one, so then my 5th one is going to be TE. Yeah, it's the strongest of my weakest is going to be extroverted thinking. I don't know if that's the proper way to put it, because I'm not sure what the proper way to put it is, to be honest with you. I don't know how it all works or fits together, but after FE comes TE, and then it goes on. NI is the one after that, and then FE is the one, or SE is the one after that, which is totally true. Me and my mother had a lot of issues. She's an ESFJ, which is the polar opposite of an INTP. So all of the things she valued greatly, I didn't value at all, and vice versa. So, like, point of this conversation was to get us to SE, which is extroverted sensing. Being aware of your surroundings is a big part of that. And she would always get super angry that I would not think to dump the trash when I saw it was full, and I could not persuade her that I in fact did not notice that the trash was full, even though I opened the lid and put trash on top. Which is, hey, if you ever need to understand how people are the way they are, think of it in terms of personality types. These stacks, very enlightening in that regard. Because I'm sure there are people out there that wonder, why don't you just do this thing? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because I am not great with my SE. And yes, that shouldn't be an excuse, right? Like, oh, well, I have low SE, so you're just going to have to deal with it. But you could be a little more forgiving in that regard as well. Like, that's a teamwork sort of situation where it's like, that's not my strong suit. Like, oh, I apologize. Yeah, I'll dump the trash. No problem. Just ask me. Why? I shouldn't have to ask you. You should notice. Well, I'm not going to notice all the time. Sorry. I can make a concerted effort to check when it's on my mind. Like, oh, I'm going to the trash can. Last time I was chewed out by this. Maybe I should. But there's no guarantee that I'm going to remember that. First of all, that's kind of a. That's not. I don't think that's something I can work where I'm just like, where I just remember whatever information I need to remember immediately. But if you ask me, I will do it. I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I'm not trying to say, oh, it's not my responsibility or somebody else will get it or whatever. It's just I didn't notice. Because extroverted sensing is a very weak point of mine. So hey, if you have someone like that, who's like, you're like, I don't understand why, look into MBTI and figure out what these things are, figure out what your things are, and then figure out what they might be. And then you can kind of see where that person is coming from. And again, it's not an excuse thing. That doesn't excuse them. Like, yeah, they should probably dump the trash when they notice it. But you can also ask. Hey, I guess it'd be kind of tricky to ask though. Kind of situation's kind of bizarre because then you're looking into the trash can, seeing that they put it on top, and like, hey, you saw it was full. Why didn't you dump it? It's like, well, you also saw it was full, so why are you getting on my case? It really depends on the maturity of the person. But if you were like, hey, I noticed when I was putting something in the trash can that it was already full because of the thing that you put in the trash can, why wasn't it dumped? I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll dump that, no problem. You're right, I should have noticed. I didn't, my bad. And then we move on. Hypothetically, in my situation, we also tend to be over-explainers because we want to warn people ahead of time, like, hey, if I do this, it's not intentional. But then that kind of, you're aware of it, why don't you fix it? It's a long story, bud. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. Apparently I can go on about this for ages. This is, I told you, I'm a little bit of a narcissist when it comes to personality typing. What my whole role in it is, but I digress. This has been one big digression. Oh hey, we accidentally got that other bench. Nice. This place has really come around. I noticed that I'm at 99% and have yet to get my task list, so that is a little concerning, but hey. That side of the bench is done. My throat is actually sore. I've never experienced that from a video. I mean, this one's been going on for far too long. I maybe underestimated how long it would take. I didn't realize that all the dirt would be so difficult to scrape off of everything. I was hoping I could use the white nozzle to my advantage and then kind of just get it done quick. I was like, oh, I have the best power washer. I have the best power washer. This ain't gonna be a thing. It was a thing. It was quite the undertaking, and it looks like we're not even done yet. We don't even have our 3 items on the task list. I'm hoping once I finish the benches, it'll pop up. But that remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. Come on, buddy. Okay, that one's done. Good. These benches are just... Okay, 2 clocks. Platform screens. Oh, did I not? Must be on the other one, huh? Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Don't do this to me. Okay. Platform screen is done. Up lighting edges. We missed one. 2 clocks. It must be on this side as well. Oh, wow. I really neglected that side, huh? This is a beautiful subway, now that it's cleaned up. Okay, and then the uplighting. I'm sure we can find out whichever one that is. Ooh, this was an undertaking for sure. There it is, job complete. Oh boy. Look at it. Beautiful. Your work has been signed off. Congratulations. Oh, thanks. That was a lot less than I thought it would be. Okay. Let's see what he had to say that we missed. The money was never... Okay, we've read that. I'll just read through it. Caldera City Transportation Network offers an exciting pressure washer opportunity at its emerging infrastructural subway facilities. Perhaps you would like some interesting statistics on our railroad systems whilst you work. Caldera City subway system was built using over 16 million bricks. If you were to pile them up to top to tail, it would extend a staggering 2,137 miles into the Earth's atmosphere. That's only a tantalizing 236,718 miles short from the moon's surface. Construction began on the Muckingham to Caldera City branch line in 1920, funded by local businessman Wilberforce Thrust, who was keen to provide an efficient means of transporting his workforce from the city to his thriving cattle ranches. It was finally unveiled by Mayor Jeff Jefferson X, who tragically passed away the same day from an incident related to the station's substandard construction. The subway was reopened again following extensive repointing in 1923 by Mayor Jeff Jefferson XI. It closed again the following fall after the shocking revelation that Wilberforce Thrust had been using it to funnel train trucks full of stolen money out of town. The money was never recovered. The subway remained closed another 30 years. Okay. Work has been signed off. Congratulations. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me today. Tomorrow, we will be doing the Fortune Teller's Wagon. So, until then, I'll catch you later.